I like that
Hello,
boss
everybody,
voice.
and
sorry.
welcome to the inventory.
Hello.
I'm your host, Detective.
Fucked up already.
It's fine. I'm your host, Detective Johan, and with me today, I have my co-host, SPNatI. Why don't you say hello?
Hello.
And for the first time in quite some time, I have two brand new guests. Why don't you introduce yourself? Say who you are. Say who you made.
So I'm Mr. Solitaire. It's my first time, obviously. And I made Miko from Toho Project. And currently I'm working on Saki Nikaido from Zombieland Saga.
All right.
All right, and I'm Halo. I mean, all I've done is update Palutina's artwork that the Fabulous Cog made originally. And I have a whole slew of projects upcoming, so...
That is not all you did.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
fucking guy
Oh, that's true.
made some models that you see in my epilogues.
Ah, that's right.
Satsuki Kiryuin has a brief cameo in Ryuko's epilogue, and he made that. And it might be a full-on character one day, although I wouldn't be in charge of that. He also made a couple of models for the Vandred girls, so definitely people that everyone's heard of. But the tall woman, Gasconia, in Maya's female epilogue, and then also the redhead, Dita, who appears at the end.
Yep.
So this guy's cool. He
Been
actually knew what
working from-
Vandred was before.
Working from behind the
from
scenes for quite
I
some
grew
time.
up with Vandred, which was interesting.
How?
Not even SPNatI grew up with Vandred.
It aired on... It was like Spike TV had an anime block that my dad would put on, and Vandred was one of the shows they would show.
Yeah, like one of the reasons it never really caught on that much is that it didn't air on public channels. Like it was just on premium stuff.
Is Spike TV not a default channel?
I've never heard of it.
I'm pretty sure it is. At least some places it is.
I thought it was cable. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I've had
I knew
direct...
Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and Disney Channel.
Yeah, no, it didn't air on Toonami. It wasn't big enough for Toonami, but I did see it regardless.
Was it like literally as it was airing? Because you would have been pretty young.
It must have been not too long after it was airing, because I was pretty young when I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I was so young I didn't remember the name of the show. I remembered the show, but not the name.
Yeah, I was like a teenager when I was watching it, so I was looking for something a little different.
What was your first anime?
Yes. Why do you think I have an unhealthy obsession with it?
I mean, it's a good one.
Hey, I mean, it brought you
Underrated.
here. So... All right.
Most people seem to rate it in like the 7 out of 10 range. I think that's pretty good.
It's a good one. I mean, it's a single season show. Why not give it a watch?
Well, technically it's 2 seasons.
Well, technically, but I mean, it's not a unfeasible amount like telling someone to start One Piece or something.
Oh yeah. It won't take them a few years to watch it.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. I think it's charming. It's not like anything terribly deep. You're not going to get like Evangelion out of it. But it's cute. Lighthearted.
Mm-hmm.
And with the shilling of Vandred out of the way, along with introductions...
Well, when someone else is here, it gives me a little more legitimacy.
Because we can finally prove that it's not just one big hallucination, one big ruse you've been creating.
Vandred has fans, damn it.
I put a voice reel of May and Jura. They have voices. It happened. It's real.
All right. I suppose we should get moving to the character updates. Going chronologically through what happened, we have May from Night in the Woods join the testing tables. Solitaire, why don't you start off? Thoughts on her?
Yeah, I posted my feedback in the channel, but just to reiterate that here, for one, she's she looks really good. her whole aesthetic appeals to me, and Thursday did a good job with the art and posing, so I really like that. Um, and I also like her writing. The only thing that rubbed up against me, and I guess some other people, is that I'm not familiar with Night in the Woods, and from playing her, I never really got a sense of who she was, like what her background was. So that was the feedback that I gave, just that I wanted to know more about who she was, why she was here. Um, and I think also, but it sounds like Thursday seems to understand where she wants to go with the character. So I'm looking forward to how May progresses.
All right. Halo, what about you?
Well, I've been watching May's development for a while. So I've been actively talking to Thursday for a few months, and I think she turned out fantastic. Very fun personality, very lighthearted, wisecracking, sarcastic. Everything I would have expected out of the character. I haven't beaten Night in the Woods. I've played the first hour or so, and I think the character's nailed pretty well.
I don't know what the fuck Night in the Woods is.
It's
a video game.
Yeah, it's an indie game.
It's a platformer? It felt like a platformer when I played it. Just
I like platformers.
It's not like an action platformer.
Very stylistic. It's got a fun story. It's got a very interesting story. I wouldn't say it's fun. It's almost depressing in points, though.
Well, if it were happy, it'd be called Day in the Woods.
That's true.
Day in the Gardens.
Let's see. So she's like a cat?
She is a cat, I think.
In the original, she's a cat.
Oh, okay.
Is everyone else a cat?
Everyone's an animal.
No.
There's like a crocodile. There's
there's
all kinds of animals.
Okay, I heard some discussion about her on her channel. Like, okay, apparently she's not like... This isn't technically an anthro version of her. Like, she's not really a cat? Or something like that?
It's like a speculation that it's like in her head kind of deal that everyone's an animal. She sees everyone as an animal, but they're not really animals. That's just a big fan theory. You could also just chalk it up to being hyper stylized to be animals.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because, like, I guess that's a thing that normally you'd want a character to point out, but if she just pictures herself as a cat, then like why would she explain that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I think one of the things she might suffer from is that at a glance, she's not the character from the game. Like if people were looking for like May from Night in the Woods, you have to like read the text. Oh, that's a human version of her.
But otherwise, we'd have a furry, and we don't want that.
Yeah.
It would just be a straight up cat.
Thank God we haven't had a furry yet. Maybe Felicia counts. She's more of a monster girl. But
Opal is paddling in a boat down this river.
Opal needs to fucking update Nehru is what he needs to do.
Well, he's currently got a little something planned that should be over, like, within a month, or about that long. Anyway, I've started Night in the Woods. Didn't get very far, but I really felt like she captured, like, I remember in the Night in the Woods, at least at the very beginning, May had this very, like, just the apathetic existential humor that most people my age have now, where it's like just a disregard for one's own safety, kind of like dark humor. And I thought I saw that quite a bit in her character. Good. I like the stylization. I think it's an interesting kind of character to bring to the game. Probably not one that was expected, but it's also interesting seeing Thursday do something that's not from Persona 5.
Good. Leave some Persona girls for other people.
Is there like a common humanized version of May, or did Thursday just like kind of go nuts with her own
I don't
idea?
know. I've never looked.
I bet there's a ton of fan art, but I don't think anything officially.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just Thursday's own interpretation. I don't think that's from anybody else's idea.
Yeah, so that's the one thing that I'd warn her. Like I wouldn't expect any slam dunk popularity, because even someone who played Night in the Woods might not immediately recognize her. She is pretty cute. I like the personality that she has. Although, yeah, I think it could be kind of smoothed around the edges a little bit and given a little more context.
Yeah, I agree with the personality. That was another thing that I think that Thursday was able to show with the dialogue, just sort of how May transitioned from being the cool, aloof girl to ending up kind of a hot mess at the end. So I think that worked well. It's just more. I just wanted to know more about who she was, even if like she's not really the kind of character to just volunteer that information. But it seems like Thursday and Mouse sort of figured out a good solution to that. So yeah, I look forward to seeing how she progresses.
Mouse? Question mark?
Mouse, he's the guy who's good at Kisekai.
Did he help with May?
No, but just giving feedback in her channel on the dev server.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
he
yeah.
has
Yeah, he knows
he
the
had
source.
yeah he had some of the same criticisms I had, but he was more familiar with the source material, so he was better able to provide some more concrete solutions.
Now we can have the May, and May table.
May, and Maya.
Yes.
You gotta call the table. It's gonna be May.
It's gonna be May.
So yeah, definitely going to have to target that at some point, because some cheeky fucker will put those three together. Let's see. So yeah, just a little more context for who she is. I agree with Solitaire that that's I think the only thing she's really missing, and some more targeted conversations, because I didn't really see anything in the testing table I put her in, which is pretty much just the first one she was in. Let's see. But yeah, I think she's got some potential if you're into that sort of like disaffected, snarky, everything's ironic kind of millennial character. You're one of those weirdos. She like a lot like Natsuki. She just like is hard jealous of Jura, and that always makes me happy. Jura's just like, why you have to be mad? Why can't, instead of being jealous all the time, why can't you just appreciate my beauty like everyone else?
I've seen lots of people offering trying to remember the word, the crossover poses. The crossover poses, and I know that Jura's got a lot of those. Do you will you be doing anything with that if you were offered?
I always welcome more crossover poses. I mean, I made some between my own characters for that purpose because it's fun. And it's something that's easy to target. I love all the people that have responded to Revi and Maya getting in a fist fight.
All right. The next thing that happened was I passed over Saki to a new creator.
Saki from Emergence. Let that never be forgotten.
The blood has been washed from my hands and graciously stained someone else's. So why don't you guys give your thoughts on her?
Yeah, new Saki, yeah, she's good. So I played her, left feedback in her channel. After I played her, like several days after, because I keep forgetting. But new model, new posing is all solid, I think. My main, the main thing that I noticed, however, is that it's pretty clear that some lines are written by Beta and some lines are written by Johan, simply because they've got, I guess, different voices,
Energy.
different styles. Yeah, energy. And maybe part of it is just because I know both of you, but yeah, I did. That was something that I noticed, that there was sometimes a disconnect. But what I suggested and what Beta sounds like he's going to do is just go over all the old lines and just tweak any that don't quite sound like his voice.
Probably doesn't help that I wrote a majority of Saki's lines in like a day.
Well, it was literally just to get her on there as a joke.
Yeah, pretty much.
But oh wow, I just looked at the character alignment survey and it has like a shitload of upvotes. I guess my time was worth it. But anyway, what were Saki? I do wonder if that's more of a dev problem because like you're used to what Johan's lines sound like, so you know when something isn't one of them.
Yeah, but I do think that there might be enough of a disconnect between Beta's lines and Johan's lines that I think like even a casual observer might just be a little bit confused. So I think it's good just to shore those up so that Saki is nice and ready to come out of testing. I almost said emerge out of testing, but I didn't want to.
What are you, a coward? You could have made the joke.
No, it's too obvious. I need to think of a better joke.
All right. Halo? Any thoughts?
Well, I love the new art. I feel like it fits the character. And I do like the new lines. I think they work great. My only issue is I feel like she's overexpressive in some poses. She feels very reserved in the actual source. So,
Well, maybe in the beginning.
well, look. This is non messed up version. So we're good there.
Can we get her? Can we get like some in-depth interactions with Show Tucker?
Oh god, no.
No.
Oh god, no.
Get that daddy kink in there.
No.
Now, Don
Why'd
said
you have
he
to give that
happens-
idea?
At least he'll do unspeakable things to her in a different way. At least he'll further science with his abuse.
Has science gone too far already?
You're definitely not alone in the thinking that she was too expressive. I believe Hex brought that up as well.
I mean, it's not bad. I just think, some of the faces are like eyes bugged out with dilated pupils. It just seems too much.
One person said a piece of feedback that I agree with is that those poses do help her stop fading from the background, which tends to happen with really shy, reserved characters who don't talk much.
Yep.
You do give a point there. I don't know. I guess it is a trade-off. It's outside of the character, but makes them more interesting.
I do think Beta has a talent for those facial expressions, so I'd recommend he tries to go for a character that's a little more expressive in canon, so he can really go nuts.
I mean, it's not as if the source material really shies away from sort of exaggerated faces.
But it does take some time to get there.
True, yeah.
That said, it does get there, so the potential exists.
What should her collectible be?
Drugs. Hardcore
Bag
drugs.
of heroin, yeah.
Just the needle.
God.
A used needle.
So dark. I'm glad I could move this sin.
Oh fuck!
You can never wash away your sins that easily.
If he remakes the epilogue, he has to update the model for post-emergence Saki.
I believe Beta mentioned that he will be ridding the epilogue. He will be wiping it away. However, since Saki is technically my character still, I said that if he wants to get rid of the epilogue, he has to replace it with something else. So who
That's
knows
Yeah.
what that'll be?
Saki
that
needs a
epilogue was the entire point of you making her.
Pretty much, yeah. And also just to prove that I could.
Well, of course you could, but you shouldn't have.
Limits should be in place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Johan really runs the gamut. Like he makes he makes Kamina specifically to break all limits, and then he makes other characters that show that we should definitely have those limits.
I am the Alpha and the Omega.
He had his Giga
The
Drill ready
creator
to
and the
go, but
destroyer.
unfortunately, his Giga Drill went right into Saki.
It was really weird playing a character that I made and that was not mine. It was different from playing Mahiru, because it's like when that happened, it was like Kog and I were working together from the start. But with Saki, it's like a whole different realm, because this was a character that used to be completely mine and now is somebody else's. So it was really an interesting experience. And I think that I couldn't have handed off Saki to anybody better. I'm really proud of just how good Beta is. And I remember seeing when he posted on the subreddit and joined the Discord, and it's grown a lot since then. And glad to have seen him get that character on testing again.
Yeah, I remember when Beta was just like a little bitty green text, and now look at him. He's got a purple name and everything.
All right, next character change is Lady Palutena from Kid Icarus returning to testing. Solitaire, why don't you kickstart us off?
Yeah, what's up with our model? I don't who made that? Who made that?
It is a mystery.
No, Politano looks good. Great model update. She's got pretty much the same posing, I think, that she did before. Like most of it, just looking at it, I thought was pretty much the same posing, just with the updated model, I think. And maybe she could stand to have some of her posing updated as well, just to make it a bit more dynamic. But she already was pretty good, so the new model is amazing. Really, like, the only problem, and I say that, quote unquote problem, is that her model is too good when compared to Pitt's model. Like, at this point, you pretty much have to update Pitt as well, just
Oh yeah,
because.
I guess they're kind of in a different style.
Yeah, because
I had
they
to
they
do the
still
same
have.
with Chiaki.
Yeah, but they still have the same so they still have that dual pose where Pitt is in front of Palutena, but it doesn't really work anymore, I think, because Pitt's style is so much different from Palutena's now that they clash a little bit too much. So I think really it's less a problem with Palutena and more a problem with Pitt. He doesn't hold up next to her anymore.
Well, about that, Cog and I are talking because, despite the fact he's basically more or less completely in charge of Mahir these days, I'm still the one who makes the selfies happen. And I mentioned that between Mahiru, Palutena, and Pitt's model updates that have happened, like Palutena's had two or three small model updates before this, and then Mahiru had her big one, and then Pitt's had that one as well. And I mentioned that it's like the particular selfie with Mahiru, Pitt, and Palutena is the one that has been updated the most. And he replied with he doesn't plan on updating the art again, aside from maybe one last definitive Pitt. So
The definitive Pitt.
Pitt, Game of the Year edition.
Pitt TM.
So yeah, the stylistic clash might not be a thing that lasts forever.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's really not anything with Palutena, just something that it's just, as we get, so much better at like Kisekai and stuff, like some of the models that looked really good, like even half a year ago, now you're just like, gotta update them.
That's what happens when Vis gives you 99 of everything.
Yeah.
How do you think I feel with like Maya's and Jura's models that were made in like over a year ago in Kisuke version 54? I didn't even know what a hairpiece was.
But I look at my version 60 models and they're so worse.
Oh well, yeah. I like to keep the old models around just so I can keep progress of the iterations.
Oh yeah, I don't delete my stuff. It's nice to have an archive. But then you look back, I've spent the last like month or two just updating everything because, with the new versions, why not make them more accurate?
Yeah, I never really delete any of my old stuff on principle, even if it looks super ugly.
I don't delete it. My computer just gets rid of it when it dies. Which is why the last.
How many computers have you been through now?
Technically, just.
It's more than one. It's too many.
Yeah.
This is my third computer, but the issue that I have with this computer, I was able to fix. It's the same computer, just.
So you're on your third, and your third almost died on you.
Yes. Technology hates me quite a bit, which is a shame because I love technology.
God, I hope my computer doesn't have a lifespan of like a couple months.
So Halo, how did the Palutena model rework come to be? Like, did you approach COG? Did he approach you? How did that happen?
What happened was COG was mentioning how he felt like he needed help updating some of his characters, and I asked him how I could help. And he mentioned how Palutena probably needed something, and I decided, well, I will make him a model update and surprise him with it. And so I updated the model and showed it to him, and he loved it, and so I decided to pose it and put it in the game.
Are those the same poses as before? Because I thought most of them were.
Yes. There are a couple reasons why. One, when I adjusted her head, I shrunk it too much. So neck rotation is busted on the model.
I noticed that a little bit when working on the selfie pose.
Yeah, no, it's completely busted. So you can't go past like 10 degrees or 20 degrees one way without it looking like it's completely dislodged from the neck.
What's completely busted?
It's one broken neck. That's the best way to put it. So I couldn't do too much rotations, and I didn't want to change the feeling that the original one gave. The original one felt very godly, very elegant. Even though the poses aren't very dynamic, I don't expect a big goddess to strike dynamic poses. I expect them to be very precise with their movements, very minimal.
As somebody who's played Kid Icarus, I think that the best way you could describe Palutena is as a serene shitposter.
See, that's the thing. I have yet to play any Kid Icarus games.
She ended up pretty neutral on the alignment chart. She's like pretty close to like true neutral.
She is the goddess of light and ultimately a heroic character, but she also has a blatant disregard for Pit's emotional state, because she'll just mess with him.
She didn't even teach him how to read.
She'll just mess with him in the middle of combat, like telling him. I believe she goes out of her way to say things as a joke that make him more vulnerable for the enemies.
Does working for Palutena have like good benefit? Like he should really go for another job.
If he doesn't have any dental, he should quit.
He can fly. He gets the ability to fly
For 5 minutes at a time, yeah.
Also, like,
That's just another form of her fucking with him.
also, I think Pit can't age. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's implied he's really, really old, from what I gathered.
He's at least like.
So he'll be a
20.
twink forever.
Well, I mean, he
Poor
is an
bastard.
angel. Doesn't that imply he's dead?
No, because he almost dies again, or he can die again.
How does an angel die, though? They're already dead.
Angels in the Bible aren't like dead people.
Are they not?
They're just like God's servants.
God's okay.
They were there before humans were.
So what happens when they die? Where do they go?
As we all know, Kid Icarus follows the biblical canon.
So when an angel dies, do they just become an angel again? Do they become a spirit? What happens?
I don't think they can die.
I mean,
Then what's the stakes in Kid Icarus if they can't die?
I mean, you
Pit
can
can
definitely
die,
die
he
in
really
Kid
dies.
Icarus, yeah.
Well, then what happens when he dies?
You get a game over screen. And you
Oh.
lose
Yeah.
stars.
Lame.
I think Pit even mentions.
Palutena just revives him because that's just another way of fucking with him.
I think that Pit even mentions that game overs are like a canon thing that exists within his world.
She won't even give him the release of death.
Oh god! And so wait, he just gets revived back at a checkpoint.
Yep.
So he just has to go.
Wait,
He has to live through that experience, figure out how to do it right, or he'll die and just get reset again.
if there's game overs, is it like Super Paper Mario where there's the underwear where people's games are over and then the over there? Did anyone play that game?
And I did. I know exactly what you're talking about.
At least they can hang out with Luigi.
Who's Luigi? That's Mr. L.
He's
There
not
is
Mr. L once he gets sent to the under there. Or the underwear.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's an underworld and a heaven in the Kid Icarus universe.
I'd
They
assume
don't,
so.
I don't remember them going into what happens when angels die. So, SPNatI,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on the Palutena update?
I'm gonna echo Solitaire's thoughts for the most part again. That let's see. I do think the model is excellent. It's definitely a case of looking pretty starkly different in style from a lot of the other models because the head is so differently proportioned. Like a lot of Kisake heads just have their models just have really big heads. Palutena's is a little more realistic, smaller head, kind of like HK416. But I think like her posing doesn't seem to have been changed at all. And at this point, I think her posing is pretty weak. She's kind of like symmetrical and like stiff as a board a lot of the time. And it really, it's like the posing is almost not worthy of the model. You know, like it really sticks out how kind of like awkward and janky it is next to this amazing model. If I would recommend anything to COG, I'd say update her poses.
Well,
Yeah.
if
Oh god.
Well, if posing's the issue, I could always go back in. I have a couple of issues that have been brought to me. Like, people say the hair awkwardly towards the bottom just kind of sticks out. So when I go fix that, I could adjust the poses a bit. Though, like I said, head rotation's fucked, so I'll have to figure some stuff out.
I really enjoyed Palutena. Definitely an underrated game, and I think that I can definitely tell that COG really loves that game. I believe he said it's his favorite game of all time.
Would not surprise me.
Isn't that obvious? I mean, it's where he found his husbando.
Yeah. So I can definitely tell that COG's put a lot of passion and love into these characters that he's made from it. And I think that, yeah, Palutena's model update is really good. I remember Halo, you showing me parts of it as you worked. I don't think that anybody was asking for a model update, but now that I have it, now that it has been received, I'm glad that it happened because it looks real good. Especially that bell that runs across her dress. That's really cool. I like how you made it with the chain thing.
Oh, yeah, you want to know something about that? That's like 10 to 15 rope belts layered over each other, and then the chain is layered over that. That's how I got it to curve like that.
I was wondering how he did that because I was like, it felt as if it I was just like, how do you do that? It like grows as it gets towards the outside. And so that was a really neat. I really think the model looks great.
The
Because
hardest
of
part.
oh god.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, it's just I was going to say that because of how many lines Cog gives his characters, it's kind of hard for me to see it realize if this is a new line or is this a line that has existed that I just never saw because it's 1,000. So I'm not sure if there was a massive dialogue update that coincided with it.
I don't think he's added too many lines. I know I have had no involvement with the lines at all. All I did was the art. So I am unsure if he added too many. Guess you could look at pre-update and post-update to see how many.
Alright, did you want to say something else?
No, I think that's it.
Alright, up next is, I believe it's pronounced Estelle?
I think it's Estelle. I've never actually played the game.
Yeah, from Tales of Something.
Vespria?
Vesperia. Why can't it just be Tales of Symphonia 2 and Tales of Symphonia 3?
Tales of Symphonia is the one I know. I know Lloyd, that's it. That's as far as my knowledge of the Tales games goes.
Who?
Lloyd?
Lloyd?
He's like some red. He has like a red coat and has an ice and a fire sword. I don't know. I only know it from like the Super Smash Flash game.
I only know. Okay, there's Lloyd from Mother 1. That's the Lloyd I know.
I don't know any Lloyds.
I thought Golden Sun for a second, but like no, that's Isaac. That's another nerdy name.
So, Solitaire, why don't you kickstart the thoughts on Estelle?
Yep. So Estelle, Horse Killer's been showing her off for some time. And she looks, she looks really good. Her posing, her art. Horse Killer even gave her like a 3/4 head turn view that I think looks really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, personality wise, I guess she's an ENF, which isn't really my thing, but I know there's plenty of people out there who really like that, so I won't judge them for their garbage taste.
It's not your thing, says the guy who made Miko, who has a pose where she stands spread eagled with naked and says, "Now I will become a god or a living legend."
Yeah.
And then has sex with her wife right there on the table.
Yeah. No. But yeah, so she's good. Maybe I think I'd want from her maybe a little bit more personality because right now she doesn't really stand out a lot from all the other sort of ENF warrior princess types that I think we have in sort of Florina or Catria. Those types, she doesn't really stand out from them. Another
Is
thing
it
is I
Catria or Katria?
have no idea. I just pronounce it Catria. If it's Catria, then yeah. But Caddy, my good friend Caddy.
She was a good friend.
Yeah. But Estelle, one thing though that I was playing with her last night, and she lost just way too quickly. Like I think what Horse Killer was going for is that she gradually improves over the course of the game. So I think she's supposed to start out bad and then end up good. But it could just be RNG on my end, but she just lost way too quick that I think he's going to have to go back and adjust her difficulty levels. Because, I've had games against Moon where she lasts longer. Like, she just lost way too quickly for me to really, and that could also be why I don't really understand a lot of her personality, is because she just blazed through all of the earlier and mid levels, so that I wasn't really able to get a sense of who she was. So I think Horse Killer could do to just sort of go back and maybe tweak some of her difficulty settings just so that she doesn't lose so quickly. But other than that, yeah, she looks really good, and I think with some adjustments, she's going to be a very good character. That's it. That's everything I have to say.
All right, Halo, what are your thoughts?
Well, I only managed to get one game in, but see, I didn't have a difficulty issue. She was like the third one out in the game I played. And as a result, I got to see the earlier stages. And I think she has some great art, and I think she looks great. But I feel like her facial expressions aren't the best. Some of them kind of feel samey in the early stages. But her actual posing itself with her, body and legs and all that, those feel great.
I feel like her emotions themselves just don't change that much.
Yeah, I got a lot of that while playing. I feel like a little bit more to them would be good. Which is funny because it's the exact opposite of what Saki. She needs more in terms of how expressive she is. If she is a ENF kind of character, I feel like she should show that a bit more, in her face. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. If I had more games, I probably would have more to say.
Yeah, she's super cute. I happen to like what emotions she has anyway. I think they're captured really well. I think it's just a matter of giving her a bit stronger of a personality in like one way or another. Like, she needs to. She's kind of falling into that Jane Doe syndrome where nothing particularly bothers her, or like she has a particularly strong opinion on. You know what I mean? And you kind of need that to stand out.
I noticed that myself.
Mm-hmm. She's just kind of way too accepting of everything.
Yeah, I could tell who she was in terms of like, she's an adventurer. She's a princess. She's
I got that
part of a band of fighter people. And she has a necklace from her mother. I understood like her, but I didn't get much from her personality. I did love her art though; it was amazing.
Well, the thing, I mean, obviously they share an author and someone who's into the same sort of thing, but she just sounded a lot like Katria, which, I think you need something a little stronger to separate those two. Whether it just be the context of, like, what she does for a living, because since Katria has, like, the Pegasus Knight thing, or, I don't know, but, like, something to make her stand out a little bit better. I think she needs, but a good start.
Yeah. I really loved her messy hair when the dress thing happened. That was cute.
I think that's a trouble that a lot of new authors can run into, is like they make their second character and it's the same type of character that they like, so it's a very similar sort of voice to their first character. And I feel like you should probably try to branch out for your second character so they don't end up sounding samey. You should try to like find some other character that you like, but it sort of has a different personality, just to avoid this issue.
Yeah, I agree with SPNatI. I think it's good to like try and create something more like a little bit varied. Because I mean, obviously you're going to have things you like, but being able to have like characters with different voices, I think will definitely help you in the long run to strengthen your ability to create like new and unique characters. And yeah, I do agree that it's sometimes I do notice that characters from the same author end up being very similar. even if that's unintentional.
Kind of made my own mistake there with Revi and Ryuko, writing them back to back. I think they ended up kind of close. I mean, they are kind of
Yeah,
close, but I probably should have waited a little bit and sort of gotten in the groove of writing some other personality, and then go back to like super tsundere aggressive that Ryuko is. So some kind of Revi might have bled into her.
I think they do. At least I feel they do still have a pretty different sort of feel to them. Because yeah, they're both sort of delinquents, hard edged, but Ryuko's more. She's can get embarrassed more easily, whereas Revi's more rude and demanding and dominating than I think Revi is. So I think there is a pretty decent difference between the two.
Well, Ryuko also has the benefit of all the crazy visuals and the context behind who she is and the transformation and Mako and Senket's getting involved and all that. But if your characters don't have that, then it might be hard for them to stand out. You have like Merida and Ochiko always make fun of the mask for them basically being the same character. Both well-meaning but like naive and like superheroes who like try their best to help people and sometimes fall into the lewd stuff.
He has a type.
Well, yeah, but you need to have more than one type.
Yeah.
Although on the alignment chart, all 4 of my girls are snarky. None of them are even close to kind. But they do at least run the gamut of lewd and wholesome. Jura being the most lewd, Maya being the most wholesome.
All right, and I guess with that out of the way, it's this isn't on the document. Kind of happened a little later, but we had Raven receive a new epilogue that was pretty spectacular. Have you guys gotten it yet?
Yeah.
I have, yeah.
No, I lost.
Dude, just do offline.
Oh shit, you were right.
Live reaction.
Problem is I don't have a GitLab set up, so I download the entire thing manually, and that takes a little bit.
Why? That explains.
You really need to get it, dude.
That explains why content takes so long to come from you.
No, that's because I can't focus on something for too long. I get distracted.
You really need to get the GitHub updater.
Yeah, I definitely do.
Let's see. It's pretty good stuff. I do love how it completely just trolls everyone who constantly asks for Starfire. He said he's been working on it for a long time, and it definitely shows. Like that, the animation in it is like super smooth.
Yeah, I played it as well. Yeah, so the animation and art is just phenomenal. Like, yeah, you can tell there's a lot of effort put into this. Like like we've seen like what people have been doing with the epilogues with the new engine. Like first Florina, then Remilia, now Raven. Like it's pretty impressive. Like just all the things that you can do with the new engine, and this is like, I guess you could say like the new gold standard in terms of animation, just what Pat was able to do and put into Raven's new epilogue. It's pretty like super impressive. I think he said it was like about 2 megabytes worth of content in there. So making something like this might be a little difficult for characters that are short on space in terms of art. So someone like, say, Mika wouldn't be able to do something this in depth because she doesn't have enough space for it. But I mean, even something like that was half as long with the same amount of quality, I think would be really, really good. That said, if I'm being honest, I didn't like it.
No?
No, I didn't like it because it's not really a Raven epilogue to me. It's more of Starfire's epilogue. Like maybe a dual epilogue, but even then, it's still mostly Starfire. Like Raven barely plays any barely factors into it, and that's kind of disappointing for me.
I
And
mean, she
that's
does
not
end
this.
things off.
She does, but it's just like a short. It's pretty short compared to Star's section of it, and it's sort of like if, and it's not really like that much hinted at either. Like I think maybe Raven mentioned Starfire once in the game, but like to me it'd sort of be like in it's Remilia's epilogue, but I'm having sex with Mailing, her gate guard, instead. Like I'm not opposed to that, but if I've been playing Remilia and I'm expecting Remilia, then I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Also, and this is probably something only I and maybe Johan would notice, but when playing the game, when Raven sees another girl with pubic hair, she says it's the same as her or Starfire, but in the epilogue, Starfire is shaved. That's one thing I noticed. I don't think anyone else would. Maybe not.
Well,
But
that's because you would take issue with that when you
yeah,
saw it.
We are
And I'd
men
be
of
like, all right, kick
culture.
ass.
yeah.
We are men
But
of
That's how it should
culture,
be.
damn it.
Temerians are hairless.
eh,
It's just naturally. I mean, she barely has any eyebrows.
I thought she had pretty thick eyebrows. Anyway,
Aren't they just the little dots?
well, they're thick dots. Anyway,
So she's a thick dot
yeah,
downstairs.
yeah, I'm open for that. But yeah, like I was saying, it's uh, just sort of, I wish there was more Raven there, because as it is, it just sort of seems like going in another direction I didn't really expect. But again, for art, for animation, just like top notch, just pretty much blows all of the rest of us out of the water. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I was all proud of the epilogues I made in the new engine, like shit, next to this one.
there's
And I
always a
have to
bigger
redo them
fish.
again. What?
There's always a bigger fish.
Oh yeah. Don't you fucking quote the Phantom Menace at me
Is that where that
and,
quote
and,
started?
and expect me to take you seriously. Yes, it's from the Phantom Menace.
I
Is
thought
that where
that
it
was like
started,
some
though?
like
It's when they're in the
actual
bongo.
quote.
Yeah, I feel like that
Wait, I thought that
predates
was
the
from
Phantom
Jaws.
Menace. No, Jaws is we're going to need a bigger boat. But I'm pretty sure
Oh,
there's always a bigger fish was a saying before George Lucas.
Well, yeah, but so was I have a bad feeling about this.
fair.
Oh yeah, but the way like it's so smoothly kind of like portrays the sexual scenes is something that I really need to emulate because mine's just kind of like jerry rigged to get it to work properly, and you can tell. So back
Yeah.
to the drawing board, I guess. Got to do it all over again. But really, I was just like trying to crank each of those out in like a week or so. So I can definitely go back at this point and iterate on them.
I think that somebody once quoted that SPNatI's Ryuko epilogue seems like an episode of Kill la Kill, and that kind of inspired my plans for the upcoming Kamina epilogue. But then when I saw what Pat was able to pull off, I'm like, okay, yes, now I really want to go above and beyond. I think that, yeah, there was a lot more Starfire than one would expect from a Raven epilogue. But also, it's just incredibly well made.
Yeah, no doubt.
I know Solitaire just complained about this, but can you make the Kamina epilogue just you fuck Yoko and he watches?
I will go out of my way to not even mention Yoko.
All right, you can double team her. Compromise.
Hey, if somebody makes Yoko for this game, and every day I pray, I'm not a man who believes in a god, at least not an all-knowing, all-loving one. But every day I pray that nobody ever makes Yoko for this game, just because I don't want to have to target her. But yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was really well made. Lasted pretty long. I did think that there was not enough Raven. I kind of actually brought up something in the dev server, the idea of maybe allowing for a visible choice option in epilogues, so that you could have a path where you choose Raven or a Starfire.
You know what pisses me off?
What?
That motherfucker stole my idea for her jerking your dick with her mind that I was going to use for Fubuki. I mean, I'd still use it, but now it's not as original.
Is any idea original these days?
For SPNatI, yes.
All right.
You just need new contexts in which things can be original again. Because people have forgotten about them or not done them before.
Okay, so now that we've gotten over that, time for upcoming projects. Solitaire, why don't you kickstart us off?
So I've been working on Saki Nikaido from Zombieland Saga for the past months, I guess. Working on and off, mostly off. So if you don't know, she's from the same franchise as Sakura, who Napsu has on testing right now. So I think if you play Sakura and Emergent Saki together, Sakura mentions her Saki, so that's the one I'm working on. She's not anything like Emergent Saki. She's a biker girl.
Well, they're both dead, right?
Well, yeah, aside from that,
Yeah.
I mean. Yeah, they're both dead, but Saki's like a biker chick idol. So mostly I've just been doing art and posing. I've been writing dialogue. Usually what I do is write dialogue in another, like a text file. And then when it's time, I transfer it over to the character editor. But first I want to get all of the art and posing out of the way. And for when I did Miko, I did a lot of Photoshop. So it took me a lot. Yeah, it took me a long
I remember
time.
that because you wanted to change something about the model, and it required you going through all the 200 plus poses you got.
Well, originally, so for Miko, I put in the first, the first one I made where I had no idea what I was doing in Kisakai. It was made in like version 54, even though by that time version 68 had become available. She was, I guess, okay, but not real good. She had like some of the default blush stickers still. So I decided, okay, before I push for sponsorship, I'm going to go ahead and touch up her model. I'm going to get rid of the blush stickers. I'm going to maybe touch up some other stuff here and there. And then I was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna, since getting rid of her blush stickers would require me to re-output a bunch of pretty much all of her poses, then I'm going to touch up some other stuff. So I'll just go back and, touch up her, her sword a little bit. Then I'm, doing that. Then I'm going to, okay, you know what? I'll go ahead and touch up her jewelry. And then, I go back and then, okay, I'm going to, Tojiko I think could be better. I'm going to do another Passover for her. So then by the time like I was finally ready to do everything, I was like, okay, now I completely change literally everything about every pose. But yeah, but for Miko, like the sword I made in Photoshop and then brought in as an image import. Same with her jewelry. Tojiko and Miko, all those dual poses. I put those together in Photoshop. That's something I would have to do anyway, simply because um, oftentimes Miko and Tojiko are touching each other. So because of that, in order to layer them on top of each other properly, I have to do that in Photoshop. Otherwise, I have to depend on like global arms and Kisakai, which I don't really like using because I can never get them exactly perfect.
Yeah, they're not. Global stuff in general is a pain.
Yeah. So for them, I did a ton of Photoshop, and now for Saki, I'm trying to do as much in default Kisakai because I feel that it's pretty much takes me about the same amount of time, give or take. But with once I do it, if I do it in Kisakai, then I just have it, and then if I need to go back and touch it up, it's a lot easier for me. So once I'm done with it in Kisakai, then I'm more or less done with it. There's a few things that I need to Photoshop here and there. For instance, like arm, because like I've got some image imports and I can't layer that behind arm, so I have to, fix that in Photoshop. But yeah, so so it's I think a lot smoother and a lot faster too because now I know what I'm doing. So it's just slow because I'm very meticulous, but I think she's coming along pretty well. And um, once I have my posing completed, all the posing done, then I can start up the character editor, set that all up, drop the poses in, transfer all the dialogue I've written to the character editor. I think I'll have to probably beef up. I don't have enough generics yet, so I'll have to beef those up, do some targeted dialogue, and but yeah, I think she's gonna. I think people are really gonna like her. I think she has a lot more, like more mainstream appeal than Miko does, which is interesting to think about because Saki is a dead body. But she still, I think, has more mainstream appeal. Miko's kind of weird because she's probably Toho is a pretty weird series, and Miko might be like
Yes, it is.
platonic. Yeah, and Miko's like might be. I've heard her described as like the platonic ideal of a Toho. So she's definitely one of the weirder ones out there, which is why maybe I like her so much. But yeah, I think Saki will be. I think she'll be a little bit easier to understand, and I think it's going to come out really well once I have her in the game. So yeah, look forward to that, but don't look forward to it too soon because I'm slow.
All right. Halo, what about you? What are your plans so far?
Well, out of all the projects that I've started but never went anywhere, I guess the ones that are making the most traction for me are Makoto, which
Okay, you're gonna have to be more specific
Persona
than just
5.
Makoto.
Persona 5, Nijima. And I'm working on a few other projects. The problem is, it's a lot of modeling, and then the writing is the hard part for me. I'm not fantastic at writing, but other people are, and it's just hard to find time frames when they're not working on other projects so that I can collaborate with them. That's the biggest reason why it's taken almost a year for me to make my first project.
Hey man, no rush.
You want to reveal anything? Any collabs that you haven't that might not have been mentioned yet?
Most of my I'm pretty open about all my projects. Most of them are pretty known. I don't think there's anything that people don't already know. Aqua from Konosuba. That one's probably the second closest to getting there.
Nice. I wonder if we're gonna have that or NMAS Megamine. come out first?
I don't know.
Megamind.
Megamind.
Mega
Some
Man.
mega table.
So yeah, how far is Aqua?
Well, I updated her model just recently and made her posable, so that was the biggest concern. Her outfit's not simple in the slightest to work around, and I don't like post-processing unless I absolutely have to.
Agreed.
And so right now I'm basically getting all the expressions I can. She will be as cartoony as she is in the actual anime itself, with exaggerated faces and poses and just all over the place. But that's the appeal of a character like Aqua. So currently getting through all the expressions from the show, copying them down, and seeing which ones I want to keep and which ones I don't feel like would work.
Very
And then
excited for Konosuba character in this game.
someone else was working on Darkness, weren't they?
Underscore had a model.
Yeah, I don't know if that one. And didn't he also make a Kazuma?
I think that was Sadbat.
I think they both made one. I just think Sadbats was more recently. But yeah, I wouldn't mind any Konosuba character. Wiz would also be a fun one.
Yeah, very fun show. Could lend itself well very easily. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know if I should reveal other characters I'm working on or not. Kind of like a plan it ahead of time. But Asuna's also coming along on a rework for her, completely redesigned character like I did with Palutena. So you can expect that eventually. And that's about it.
All right. SPNatI, since you've finally freed yourself from the shackles of Ryuko and you now are free, what are you going to do?
I mean, it's been like a month since Ryuko came out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
well,
what's next?
I intentionally keep my works in progress list 0 or very little, and this is why I'm just in full update mode now. I'm just in like I want to make those art or those model updates for May and Jura happen. Revi epilogue update, targeting all the stuff that I haven't targeted because it's been too long, and that's the big focus for now. And I'm going to be saying that for quite a while, because it's going to take quite a while. But I do have some free time coming up, so we'll see how much I can carve through.
Nice. I guess last episode I brought up that I was working on an update with 2 partners. Do a big update with complete image rehauls for Rinka and Chiaki, as well as work with Kamina and Hanako. That is going well. I had a bit of a setback with my computer dying for a couple of days. I finished reposing everything, and I've updated the art in their epilogues. So all that's left now is to do the dialogue stuff. Still aiming for the end of the month. I think that my I'm trying to think of a fun word to use for this. My confidants have been doing relatively well with progress on their end as well. So hopefully it'll all end up working out. And then after that, I will, I guess, work on Janetta, since the Dora has done an amazing job reworking her model. And so I'll probably pick that up, bring her back. And by the time that's done, if Halo has Dante ready for me, I will do that. If not, I will begin work on Pearl and Marina from Splatoon 2 alongside Blue Coin Mouse and Zuja.
That's a
finally,
big ol' collaboration right there.
Yep. I'm going to be doing the. My plan is that I'm going to be mostly focusing on filtered lines that will play when the two are in a game together, and I'm going to try and target every single filtered line or everything or every tag.
Interesting.
finally, SPNatI will have Dante from the Devil May Cry series.
Now featuring.
Yeah.
That one's coming along. I just have to finish the hair. The outfit's done, and the face is done.
Nice. I'm very excited to write him.
Oh, I'm gonna have fun posing him. He's gonna be a fun one to pose since he's very dramatic.
Yep. He's a. I think that the two main my male characters that I've written track record is very interesting. We had Kira, and then we had Kamina, and now we have Dante. And I think it'll be interesting to see how well I am at. And so, with upcoming projects out of the way, time to move on to the questions and answers.
Oh, thank God.
Let's start out with
The good part of each podcast.
Yeah. A question for Solitaire. Since Sakura is in sponsorship, or game by the time this is out, and you're working on Saki, what Zombieland Saga girl would you like to see next? Generally, who would you want to write? Who would you want to see write a Zombieland Saga character?
Yeah, this is actually something that me and Napsu have discussed before. Personally, I like Tai Yamada, but she probably wouldn't fly for the game just because she doesn't really talk. She mostly just growls and moans and gnaws on people.
Moaning would be good.
Yeah, but mostly that's supposed to be saved for the epilogue. So she doesn't really have any lines to say, but she's still definitely one of the more, expressive girls in terms of like facial expression, and she's also pretty popular among all the different Franchushu idols.
How many are there?
Let's see. There's 7. Tai Yamada.
Always 7.
Huh?
Always 7.
Yeah. So Tai. Then there's Sakura and Saki. Then there's Ai and Junko. So they're the 2 idols from Junko's from the 80s and Ai's from the early 2000s. They're mostly sort of like stoic characters. I think Napsu and I thought that they would be good sort of as a tandem or something, simply because in the show they do well just sort of playing off each other. And in terms of who would be good to write it, I think probably SPNatI, because he's good at writing sort of stoic girls. So that might be up his alley, even though he says.
Wait, who is this again?
I and
Zombieland
Junko.
Saga girls.
Yeah.
I actually did not.
Tuning out as hard as possible, and then he hears his name, or he hears stoic girls, and he's like, "What's up?"
Yes, that's exactly what happened. Look, I'm just trying to clear out all my unread Discord messages. I had no idea that that Saki or Halo got the GitLab set up. Good job, buddy. I had no idea that Zombieland Saga was like it came out last year.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Isn't it still airing? Or
No,
It's only been a few months.
Yeah.
No.
Wrapped
It
up.
definitely had
okay.
its season finale. But only wrapped up a few months ago. Hasn't been that long.
A mummy?
Yeah, like she's covered in bandages.
All right, so that's 5 of the Chaos Emeralds. There's 2
Yep.
more.
So then another one that I think would
What?
be I'm just gonna
There's
ignore
7
that.
characters. I just called them the Chaos Emeralds because there's 7 Chaos.
So the other one we thought
Where's
would be
that
good
damn
for
fourth
SPNatI
character?
is Yugiri from Zombieland Saga because she's a good fit for the game because she's that big sisterly type, and she's got big titties, so people like that.
I'm interested.
She's a former, well, in life, I guess she was an oiran, which is a term for a Meiji era high class prostitute. So she's definitely got that edge to her. So I'm not sure who would be good at writing her. But I think anyone that likes that sort of, big, sisterly, large bosom,
X.
sexual type. Yeah.
X. You
Yeah.
can say his name. We all know it.
If Hex wants to write her, I think Hex has said that that's his favorite girl from the show anyway.
That is
So,
not
Well,
she would
that's
also be
obvious.
good. Yeah. And then the last zombie is Lily Hoshikawa, but she's not allowed in SPNatI. She is a
Yeah, absolutely
child.
not.
Yeah.
The one thing I know about Zombieland Saga is that character.
Yeah, she's a good
Oh.
girl. She's not,
Okay.
not for looting.
But what about the producer?
I said that, yeah, we should have Tatsumi Kotaro in, but Napsu vetoed that. She doesn't want him.
Oh, but he'd be great.
He would be.
Expressive.
Does he have a name besides?
I didn't even know he had a name. That's what threw me off.
Yeah, Tatsumi Kotaro.
Well, now I
That's
know.
not-
I've always just called him the producer.
Yeah, that works too.
All right. The other questions is question 1. What is the most impressive thing you've ever seen made in Kisake, whether or not it's in the game? Solitaire, why don't you kickstart us off?
I mean, I'm always a fan of using Kisekai to make weird things, so like Johan, you made a car in Kisekai.
I've made a
so
lot more than just a car.
Yeah, you made a car. You made like some. I'm pretty sure you made a couple of different mechas.
I've made one. I've got 2 more in the works.
Right.
The Communist Epilogue.
Yeah, Keyblade. Let's see. Other people have made. I'm trying to think.
On model Jotaro.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like pretty much all of. I think Ruka's like super on model like Smash Brothers.
Yeah, she's just like a user on the Discord who wants to fuck Mario.
Yeah.
She knows what she wants. I can't fault a person for that.
There's that one Japanese guy on Twitter
Yep.
Oh, got that. Those are.
who likes like Haruhi Suzumaya.
Made Danganronpa models. They're just leagues above mine.
But yeah, that's sort of all I can really think of in terms of mostly I hang around just this server. I don't really pay that much attention to like people on like Pixiv or Twitter or whatnot. So there's probably like way more impressive things out there, but I've also seen some pretty impressive things here that I don't really know like how anybody does those.
All right. Halo, what about you?
Okay, this is an easy one for me. Either of any of the Bagel's free force poses, from the Joker dab to the girls from Digimon, those are just. He used like 8 models and like hundreds of different pieces, and I'm just blown away by his patience to do all that. And his know-how on how to get it to look good on top of it.
Gotta be easier to fucking draw it.
Yeah, probably.
I think he is probably the best modeler. I can't think of any.
Would agree.
He's just amazing at that stuff. I wish I looked at the code for one of his 3/4 poses once, and it was the most confusing thing I've ever looked at.
I think that it probably says a lot that we have all these modelers out there, and like, let me to inflate my own ego. I'm able to make a mech, a car, and a keyblade, and I cannot understand anything Bagel does.
No,
That's
no.
how good he is.
Even just a simple dab is impressive because of the 3/4 pose aspect of it.
As far as I'm aware, he makes it up to not do anything post-processing.
Yeah, he does none. Everything in engine.
Kamina's entire thing is 2 models, as far as I'm aware.
I just can't. I can't with him.
Alright. SPNatI, what about you?
I mean, I kind of said already. I could agree with Bagel. Some of his models have at least made it into the game. Unfortunately, they're all men. So, really, it's wasted.
He made that one.
On the topic
He's making that robot hand girl.
On the topic of Bagel and 3/4 poses, I specifically enlisted his help for the Kamina epilogue, not just because he doesn't like to share his codes, because there is one pose that I'm going to need him to make, because I don't think anybody else will be able to.
What
if
pose?
I weren't as proud, I'd just ask him or someone else who's pretty good with Kisuke. I'd just be like, here, you update Mayo's and Juris models. I don't give a fuck. But I'd rather just slave away at it for something that'll only be marginally as good as whatever they'd pump out in a shorter time.
So yeah, Bagel's 3/4 poses are my answer as well. That said, I also do enjoy a lot of things Mouse is able to do. He made a scene on a train where it's like a character going on a train and there's a city moving in the background, and the entire thing is made in engine with no globals because the city and the train is made out of people somehow. I don't understand it, but it's awesome.
When you get
that was the first thing that came to mind.
When you get down to it, isn't Mouse some kind of Junji Ito kind of guy?
Mouse has the most interesting and like style, and he sticks to it, and it's definitely very like cartoony and appealing. Whereas Bagel goes for like 100% 1-to-1 accuracy on model.
Those are a lot of good Kisuke.
We have to mention So Amazing. Oh, I did. Zeus.
Oh, yeah.
If we're gonna talk about the best.
I know that a lot of Zeus's older stuff was photo edited. I think his newer stuff is mostly Kisuke.
Yeah, he layers it over, then imports. Did you see his like Kratos?
Yes, I did. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah. He's probably the best at making male models.
Yeah.
Well, he just doesn't put that much out, so I kind of forget about it.
I mean, he makes really good ones that are hyper detailed, but doesn't make a ton of them.
Yeah, I really want Captain America back already.
I can't wait for Cap. I need America's ass in the game.
Yeah. All right. Moving to the next question is, what are your favorite character interactions between characters not in the first 2 pages of the roster?
So,
wait 1 second. Check who's in the first 2 pages.
Checking something?
So,
I'm checking to see pages.
So I thought Maya has some good interactions, and she's not in the first 2 pages.
She fucking would be.
Yeah.
You sunk your own boat.
Yeah.
It's fucking bullshit rules anyway.
If you want Maya on the front page, you have to put Jura offline.
Well, I've been thinking about those rules, and I amendment for them, which I think is perfectly fair. Yes, you should split up franchises. However, Maya, by herself, is an individual scorer that is high enough to not be pulled up by Jura onto the front page. So I think it should just be whoever has the top score.
But we need somebody that isn't made by SPNaI on the front page.
Do we?
We cannot
Maybe.
allow SPNaI to ever make Fubuki.
Well, we'd have Pitt.
Now I'm imagining Pitt
That
surrounded by...
franchise... What?
No, now I'm imagining Pitt surrounded by all of SPNaI's girls, like that one meme.
Yeah, the couch meme.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them are really that into Pitt. Even Jura just kind of teases him.
So excluding those 10 characters, favorite interactions. Salter?
Yeah, I think the Sayori and Monica have some good interactions.
Vince cheated to make them.
Yeah, but I mean, cheating's okay.
Yeah.
Also, the Street Fighter girls definitely
Yeah.
have some good in-depth interactions.
Alright.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I can think of.
Halo, anything from you?
I was gonna say the Street Fighter girls, especially with their newer updates, they're just so in sync. It's incredibly fun to have an entire table full of just them. Other than that, I do like the little bits with the Fire Emblem girls.
Florina and Lynn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always loved My Hero. And yeah, those are my favorites. Other than obviously the ones made by SPNaI.
Miko and Ramilia have some pretty good dialogue to each other.
Yeah, but
Miko
I can't.
just has good dialogue in general.
Yeah, but I can't mention my own creations. That'd make me seem conceited.
Well, you are conceited.
Yeah, but I don't want to seem that way.
Miko's rubbed off on you. Let's see. Yeah, the Street Fighter girls, I don't think their writing is anything special, but the art are definitely a lot of fun. I just kind of get franchise fatigue from them at this point, since there's 4 of them, and you can put them on a table together, and it's like, this is supposed to be a crossover game, not Street Fighter strip poker.
And then there's 6 Fire Emblems, but
Zuck.
7. Is there 7 now, isn't there?
At the very least, those characters don't all know each other.
Yeah, you
Although, like, half of them are from the same game. So they do know each other.
Let's see here. How many Fire Emblem characters are there?
I think there's 7 now with Lucina.
Oh right, I'm like looking at the only the main roster. I'm like, how are there 7? Is Ramilia a Fire Emblem character? She's the one next to them. That's not true though. Yeah.
With like more planned, aren't there? Aren't there more people making more of them?
Yeah.
Not another fucking Fire Emblem character.
Yeah.
There will always be more.
Let me just get a drink of water. I'm not nervous or anything.
Though, to be fair, I am excited for Setsuna that Cog's making.
Same. Yes, there are more Fire Emblem characters. I've been working alongside some of those developers. We have interactions planned.
Better, because there's so many of them. They have to do something.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so SPNaI, you mentioned the Street Fighter girls. Did you have anyone else?
Nothing. Like, I'm trying to think of interactions that aren't just targeted lines, which you could pick any from like the first few pages, and you'll get you'll get a decent amount of conversations going, especially if you use the suggestions. So I don't think there's any shortages of that. As for like really specific poses together, I think it's probably mostly restricted to like franchise mates like the Phantom Thieves or Street Fighter girls. I've tried to inject some of that with Revi interacting with the Vandred girls, and maybe I'll do something with Ryuko in the future. But that's harder to think of, and a lot of them are on the first 2 pages.
Oh, by the way,
I don't know what their big deal is with not the first 2 pages. I mean, they're not even pages anymore. They're just the rows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I got confused when you said pages, because the UI has been totally changed.
For the worse, in my opinion. But
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the scrolling, but it's
I kind of like it. It reminds me a little bit of the Lego Star Wars games for some reason.
No, I way prefer the scrolling because now I don't have to click 50 times just to find one character. I can just scroll.
maybe I think they're just too large or something. Maybe
well,
smaller.
I like the scrolling for the ease it provides, but I would rather have fewer rows and make the character images a little bigger so you can see their entire bodies because you can scroll, so it's not that big of a deal.
By the way, Halo, I think I accidentally skipped over you with this. What was your answer?
What? Oh, I said the Street Fighters, the Hero, and Fire Emblems, Florine and Lynn specifically.
Oh.
What?
Nothing. I'm just bad at figuring out whose voice is whose because I'm silly. And I thought that was Solitaire talking.
Oh no.
Solitaire, did you answer?
Yeah, I mentioned. I was the first one to go. I mentioned Monica and Sayori,
Right.
the Street Fighter girls, and then Mare because she's on the first 2 pages, or rows or columns or whatever.
Sorry, I have 2 brain cells. All right.
You're
That just
slipping,
leaves
Joe.
me, and yeah, I mean, slipping implies that I was there to begin with. I think that yeah, I agree with all of them. I'd say that I'd probably say Lynn and Florina just because that was the very first one I ever saw, so I have a soft spot for it.
Yeah, I think it was the first one I saw too.
Next question is, who would you want to collaborate with? Solitaire?
Someone who's really good at making models.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the same for me because I prefer writing. Like I think I've mentioned before that I think I mentioned before that the part that's the biggest headache for me is posing. It takes the longest, and because I'm just so meticulous that ideally, for me, I'd like to collaborate with somebody that's good at Kisekai and just have them do all the modeling and posing for my weird ass waifus, and then I just write for them and don't have to worry about all the posing and how much time that takes me. Just have someone else deal with that.
I mean, the reason I don't want to do that is because, you want to step out your comfort zone a little with artistic creation. So, yeah, I'm comfortable writing, but I should at least try to do the art when I have to in order to, build up my skills in some other area of life, and learn a little bit about like what better fits for like posing and modeling, because the modeling is what I have trouble with, just because Kisake just feels so limited to me, and I know it's not, but it's just I don't have the patience to figure out like something that looks good. Nothing really looks good when I look at the parts. I can't picture like them going together really.
You don't have the patience to write 10,000 lines?
Actually, it's 11,000 now. Thank you.
And shit, combined, it's even higher.
Combined, it's like over 30,000. Yeah, but writing's fun. Kisake isn't fun.
I disagree.
I disagree as well.
No, I agree.
What's it like being wrong?
On this podcast, we have
I don't know. You tell me.
2 people who vastly prefer writing and 2 people who vastly prefer the art part.
I don't hate posing.
And we have.
I redo my poses all the time because they never quite look right to me. But I love making a new pose, because then when I go to write lines and use it, it's like having a new toy.
Yeah.
It's just like
I love posing. Like I don't love posing, but I like what comes out of it. I feel a lot more comfortable posing than I do modeling, just because even though again I think most of the mouths are shit, and I hate like certain aspects of like you can't move their shoulders. It's just like I could not write a character with someone else's poses. Because it just wouldn't fit. It'd always be something I'm just like, that doesn't look right. That looks weird. I don't like the facial expression. I don't know what this is getting at. I need it to be exactly how I posed it. And you can see how I just completely redid all of Revy's poses over time just because I didn't like them. I changed all of them.
I just found some ironicness in like
Irony.
some irony in Solitaire sitting there and saying, I wish that there was somebody who would just sit and make models and pose for me, and then across this metaphorical room, Halo is like there, just because that's exactly what he does.
But it has to be my obscure, weird waifus.
Well, how could people make your waifus if you don't tell people your waifus?
I would trust you to make good Maya and Jura models.
Do you want me to?
Look, I'll crank something out eventually, and then you can be like, look, dipshit, this is how you do it right. That'll be the creative process, okay?
Works for me.
I mean, if you want to make them just for for fun, then go ahead. But
So Halo, who would you like to collab with?
Well, like I said, it's mostly writers. And I could think of one character I would love to make with a certain somebody who would be great at writing. Probably the best writer. But, yeah.
Are you gonna?
Am I gonna what?
Are you gonna share that?
Well, it's a character the Dita. I would totally make her if you would write her, but other than that, I probably would mess up writing.
I think SPNatI has gone on record to say that he already feels bad that he made 2 Vandred characters. I think his.
I mean, I think
he's,
for a series so obscure.
Yeah, I think your quote was something along the lines of that. You felt that you were clogging them up with an obscure series. Yeah.
Well, then let's not make it not obscure. Let's have everybody watch it.
I mean, if other Mike also wants to make like Gasconia. So having a full table of characters from a show no one's heard of would definitely be weird.
But hey, they might watch it as a result. It's like, there's 4 of them here. It's gotta be good, right?
It's only building up to more disappointment.
I've always been in the camp that it shouldn't matter what you're like. If you've got a character from a source that's overrepresented, but you really like this character and you think that you could do them justice and you think that they would be interesting and fun for the game, doesn't matter. Just make them. No matter how many. Like, we've got 6 Fire Emblem characters in the game now, 7 on testing. But if you've got a character that you think would be entertaining and that you like and that you think you could write, do it.
And they're from Fire Emblem.
Make number 8.
Make someone else.
No.
Play another game.
SPNatI, how would you feel if before you came here, somebody had already made Jura, Gascon, and Dita, and then said, "Oh, great, here comes another Vandred."
Then I'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Okay, fair.
How do you go 3 Vandred characters and not make Maya the female character that has the most focus in the show?
That would be odd.
My point is, if you think that you can make a character, and you think that it will not,
see, this is why you go for obscure sources, because I knew that would never happen.
If you can bring something new to the table with a character from a franchise that's got a lot of characters already, at least give it a shot. And even if you don't even finish that character, the practice might help you later down the line.
I could write for Dita, but like, I think my take on Vandred has pretty much cemented itself and played itself out at this point. So it really needs like somebody else's take, like somebody else's touch if you want to keep it fresh. So really, just like, I think you'd be fine, dude. Just write her yourself, or get someone else to do it. You don't need more of the same from me.
What if we want more of the same?
Also, I put so much time into Maya and Jura's interactions with the understanding that there would never be a third Vandred character.
Yeah.
This is the true reasoning. You don't want to change everything.
For the third or fourth character from that franchise to come in and compound those interactions and make more permutations of it, they'd probably have like 20,000 lines.
But isn't that the goal?
Additional lines.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like those lines
make
to
'em
come
monstrosity.
from. I'd like those lines to not be masturbatory. I'd like those lines to be coming from crossovers and like not just me pumping their lines up between each other. I'd like it to be like other characters engaging with them, characters that people have heard of. Like I'd rather spend more time writing interactions between like Mei and Jura and then like Revi and Ryuko than like between each other, because you're kind of spreading your tentacles all over the different areas of the roster, and we all know what happens in hentai after that.
SPNatI, do you have any one in particular?
Well, I kind of said just anyone who's good at making models. So Bagel, Mouse, you, Johan, you're good. Halo, very good. I mean, I've already asked for some models from you. Yeah. If I'm forgetting Zeus, just like anyone who's really good at that, because I feel like I'm the weakest in that aspect, the model making.
I think that Zeus would be an interesting person to collab on. I've considered asking him about maybe doing Iron Man, but I think I'd like to see him finish Cat first.
That's true.
But I've also got my plate plenty full. I had it so full earlier that I ended up having to put some of it back. So I'm not gonna go out of my way to promise any more collabs, but like there are the amount of people who I want to collaborate with if I had an infinite number of free time is pretty much everybody. I don't know, like there are people who are also like I'd like to work with them, but I feel like they just outclass me in all the other aspects, like Horsecat. Like I'd love to work with him, but honestly, I feel like there's nothing I'd be able to bring to that party. Like if I wanted to help on dialogue, I think he'd have that covered. If I wanted to help on art, I think he'd have that covered. Working with Yuri is fun. It takes forever, but it's always worth it.
I wouldn't mind
yeah.
collaborating with Yuri, but I don't know what to collaborate on.
Yeah, that too.
All right. Next question is, how do you pick your projects? Solitaire?
So for me, yeah, I mean, for me, it's more whoever I can think up. Like usually, I have like in my brain, I can think up like maybe like a good, like a line of dialogue from this character, maybe like an interesting interaction for this character, and then after a while, I think about it more, and I think if okay, is this something I can actually make a full character out of, or is just just one good line of dialogue or one good interaction. And then if like, hey, this is somebody that I could actually, make like that's actually worth making an entire character out of. Like I would like to see in the game that would actually be fun to work on for however many months it takes me to work on a character. Then I start working on that character. I think I told the story before where I wanted to do some sort of rework of Alpha simply because I was so annoyed that her song reference pool was so shallow. Like she constantly referenced Still Alive from Portal in 2018 or whatever, and it's sort of like, let's move on to something more interesting. And I thought it'd be, funny if once one of the things I thought up for her was she would sing Prince's Raspberry Beret. I don't know if you know that song, but
it's a Toho song, isn't it?
it's a Prince song.
Oh.
And but instead of seeing about Raspberry Beret, that would be replaced just by whatever piece of clothing the character was taking off. I didn't really progress on that simply because, one, I don't care about Alpha. Two, nobody cares about Alpha. And three, her source codes aren't in her file, and she's heavily photoshopped, so that'd be a bunch of too much effort. I'd have to remake her from the ground up. But then what did end up happening was I really liked Saki, so then I thought, hey, Saki, she's like a singing and dancing idol. It would make sense if she also pulled in song ideas. She referenced songs and was singing as part of her shtick in the game. So then that's what I ended up doing. I brought in that idea that I had from Alpha and put that into Saki. So for me, I think it's just sort of, once I have an idea, then maybe I hold on to that idea. Even if I don't use it for the character I originally come up with it, I can eventually maybe find a character that works on. So I think more than anything, it's just having a character that, one, I know can actually work in the game, and then two, that I'd actually like to work on for, because it takes me like 6 months or whatever to make a single character.
Mm-hmm. So, Alpha, she might be Alpha, but on the resorts, she is the Omega.
It's not even the best crush girl.
No, not even the top 5.
There's a Ray knockoff girl, right? In Crush.
Yes,
Yeah.
there is.
Okay.
There is. The best are
Maybe.
definitely got to be like Bonnabelle or the I don't remember the Rainbow Dash ripoff.
Oh, what is her
Who the
name?
fuck remembers Crush? No.
I remember Bonnadelle, and I remember there's a Canadian gamer. And,
There's a bear, like a literal bear.
Yeah, Bear Verley or something.
And then there was like an Irish, like maid.
All right. So Halo, what about you?
Oh, 100% Impulse.
Did you just call him Rainbow?
No, I said Halo. What about you?
Oh, I just model whatever the hell I feel like. There's no rhyme or reason to it. A lot of it is I'll be on the roleplay server, and I'll just be like, tell me something to make, and I'll make it. Because I don't have much writing ability, so I just spend all my time making models, kind of just improving my craft. Trying new things.
Yeah, I remember back when you first posted your Shaltier model. How it's pronounced?
Yeah, Shaltier, yeah.
Yeah, I remember it was really good. Like, because I think it was like a year ago now that
Close to.
you started becoming more active, and it was a really good model. Because nobody had ever seen you, so it was just popping up. Here's this, and it looks better than anything here.
Well, see, Shaltier, that was back when I was actually trying to make a character. I was trying to make Albedo from Overlord as well. And I thought, oh, well, I'll have Shaltier accompany her, kind of like a dual character kind of thing. Every so often she'd pop up. And so I made the model for that, but that project never went anywhere in the end. Yet again, it was just the modeler, not so much the writer, and the writer got busy with life and other stuff, so it just kind of fell through. It's not like I haven't tried to make projects, they just never went anywhere.
Alright. Now, what about you?
How do I pick my projects? Well, I've dropped a lot of them without them going anywhere. I've never had an issue with, would this character be good for the game? Because I've always had characters, first I like big tits, big ass, pretty face, human, woman.
Standard.
Yeah, so not a big issue there. As far as character selection, I don't exactly have niche tastes. And they're generally good fits for the game because they'd be women who are going to speak up for themselves and not be embarrassed or shy. they'll like start shit with other characters. So it's not like I've been. It's always been like kind of extenuating sort of stuff where I lose interest as while I'm modeling them, or in the case of Ayla from Chrono Trigger, I think she'd be too stupid. She'd lose too easily. Really, so it just kind of, and with Bulma, like I just thought she wouldn't be unique enough. And there's also issues now of like character or like franchise fatigue and stuff. And I just try to pick someone that I think kind of goes in a new direction or represents some new franchise now, and I think would be really fun to pose, or at least to have a lot of interesting poses and really fun to write. But yeah, I just try to pick someone that I think will be interesting to write, that I think I have fun writing, and that you can kind of take the dialogue in a lot of in a lot of different directions. So someone like Fubuki, right, from One Punch Man. I feel like I could. First of all, she is like a professional hero. She like fights like monsters and things, but there's like a whole aspect to her character where like she lives in her sister's shadow, so she herself has never
Which
been
is
like
weird because it's a very small shadow.
Yeah, so her sister has better psychic powers, basically, like way.
I know the joke is that she's a very small person.
Yeah, like Fubuki can handle like low level monsters and like maybe starting towards the higher end at best. And then Tatsumaki, her older sister, is like a god, basically. And so Fubuki has like a big like inferiority complex, and she's like a total bully towards like anyone that she perceives as like weaker than her. So yeah, there's kind of like the shitty aspects of her, but like there's also she can be like stoic and analytic and like work out strategy and stuff, and she's like charismatic, and like all of her underlings love her. She like sends them out on jobs, so she'd like network with other people like in SPNatI, and she'd like try to scout out their powers and like you should work for me and stuff. So there's just a lot of like like I look at like whatever the source gives me for like how they interact with other people, and I'm like, all right, I think that would translate really well. I think that'd be fun to write targeted lines with. So she'd be like super eager to impress everyone with like her psychic powers, but if someone had like better powers, she'd be like her confidence would like immediately be shaken because she wouldn't be the coolest one on the table anymore.
Like Jotaro stops time and it's like, fuck, how do I beat that?
Yeah. It's just, and like when I think back to Ryuko, it's like, oh, well, there's fun stuff you could do with opposing Senket's coming off and Mako popping in, and just like her different interpretations of all like the enemy clubs. And I kind of just made Maya because I like Maya. And over time, I've started to remember more of Vandra and how she would act in those situations, and basically how she's used to sort of being an authority figure from a young age, and like giving advice to like girls who are kind of a little more vulnerable, but then she kind of understands a character like Revi, like always being aggressive and stuff. So you kind of work it out as you go. But I just picked that, and I just pick characters that seem like they'd be fun to write because they always have like big tits anyway and pretty faces, so I know they'll be fine in that department.
Let's see here. What's my track record look like? I started out with Rinka because I think she's best girl, and I wanted to make her in this game because I wanted her to be in this game. Then I think that my next project was Amalia, and that was because I really liked Wakfu, and I wanted to see a Wakfu character in this game. Didn't do so well. Ended up having Mouse pull me out of there. Next character after that was Hope, and it's because I really like Xenoblade X, and I really wanted a Xenoblade X character to be in this game. And that didn't go so well either, and that is a project that I'm going to take my time on making sure I get right. What was next after that? Chiaki. I made her because I really like Chiaki, and I really wanted Chiaki. Can you see where I'm going with this? Most of the time I make a character, it's because I like them or I like their source material.
Why do you like them?
Dude, I don't know. My character taste is so radically different from character to character. If you look at Chiaki and compare her to Hanako, and then compare that to Kamina, and then compare that to Dante, it's my taste is very whimsical. It goes where it goes, and I just follow it. The only two exceptions to that were Kira and Saki, because I made them as jokes.
And now Kira has been Zelda.
I think Kira did it. No, yeah, no, Zelda did do it first, but Zelda's coming back eventually. Kira is probably not. He was just tanking Team JoJo too hard, and I felt bad, so we'll be
Make a Valentine's Day alt for AE86 where it's an ambulance.
God damn it. It'd be pretty funny.
And then put him in a game with Kira.
Yeah, but basically I pick my projects because I either like the character or I like their source material. And I think that they work relatively well. Sometimes I pick a character just because I really like the soundtrack of their game as well. Like, I'm not particularly interested in 2B. I think 9S is my favorite Nier Automata character. I'd make 2B anyway just because I like Nier a lot.
So what you're saying is I could get you to make a Toho character by forcing you to listen to the soundtrack?
You might be able to. Yeah, so that's that.
Was it done by Hiroyuki Sawano? Because that's what Johan uses to gauge whether he likes music.
No,
that's not true. It's also is Amazurashi involved? And then if not that, is it do they use the opening theme for the final battle? And if not, then it's not worth it.
Everything about Toho is just made by one guy, a drunk guy in Japan. Sometimes he's got other people to help him do the art, but mostly it's just him. He does all the writing, art, and music himself.
All right.
Does it show?
It's pretty good. The music's always really good.
Anyway, next question is, what character or franchise are you surprised hasn't made an entrance yet? Solitaire, why don't you start us off?
I'm surprised we haven't had any good Fire Emblem reps yet.
Ow! my pride.
Hello.
Oof.
In a real,
That's such an oof.
real choices. I'm surprised we haven't had any girls and Panzer characters, since for one, there's a lot of waifu choices there. Two, I know I've seen a ton of people who have posted girls and Panzer fan art in the social server in waifu spam. But despite this, I know Pork Chop has the anchovy model, but other than that, I haven't really even seen anybody even really suggesting working on any girls and Panzer characters or any of that. Also, just one franchise I like that I haven't seen much of either is Haruhi Suzumiya. Again, I know Datefei has a model of Haruhi, but again, I haven't seen that much in terms of models posted, or even somebody coming into the dev server saying I'm going to work on this character and then disappearing forever. I haven't even seen that much of that either. So, and I guess Haruhi though is kind of old for all of you young people out there, since it debuted in 2006 and you guys were all probably 2 at the time. But
Okay, how old are you, motherfucker?
I'm gonna be 28 in June.
Oh wow!
Nice. You don't sound it.
Yeah, I don't think I look it either, but
I was not born in 2004.
I know. I assume you.
I am not a Zoomer. God damn it!
But
2006, I was 8 or 9.
That's the same year that like AVGN took off. Like I could have been there for that
let's
shit.
see.
I'm just pulling out numbers
It would
though
have been 10.
out of my ass. But I guess like Haruhi's heyday was, I guess, before most people's time here. But it's one
I
I
made
like.
characters from 2000 and 2002. Don't tell
That
me
is
I
true.
can't
Yeah.
work with
That is
Haru
true.
Suzumiya.
Yeah, that is fair. And Haruhi also has a Ray clone. So
Okay, I'm
um,
listening.
yeah.
You had my curiosity, now you have my attention.
I think pretty much everyone from
So consistent. I'm just how you can get SPNatI to like.
That doesn't
Just
mean I'm
like-
gonna like her,
I
but
mean,
that is a good start.
pretty much everyone in Haruhi is sort of like a clone of some sort of Evangelion character, more or less. Except Kyon isn't anything like Shinji. Kyon is more like Daria. But anyway, I digress.
Can you imagine Daria in Evangelion?
I think that's why Haruhi. That's pretty much kind of what Haruhi is, though. That's why it works so well.
I want to put Daria in in an Eva, put her in a plug suit. So what kind of freakish eldritch abomination am I going to be fighting today? The world may never know.
I think other than those, I was also surprised that we didn't have any Toho characters before Miko. I think that's one of the reasons that I chose Miko in the end for my first character, because I was going back and forth. I had a few other ideas that maybe I'll revisit, but I ended up going with Miko because there weren't any other Tohos on the roster. So that's what I wanted to, thought it'd be a good thing to get in there and then force everyone else to make Tohos. And hopefully soon we'll outnumber the Fire Emblems.
That's a bold.
You have a long way to go.
That's a bold dream.
There's a lot more. There's a lot more
Yeah.
Western Fire Emblem fans than there are Toho fans.
Yeah, definitely.
You got to
Glad
recruit
man can
people
hear.
from JP on 4chan.
You also don't have like 6 characters from said franchise in one of the most popular fighting games.
Implying Smash is a
The
fighting
Fire
game.
Emblems they just keep adding them in Smash. Oof.
It's a party game.
It's a party game.
It's
a party
a
platform
fighting
game.
party game.
Listen, if you're one of those people who turns off the
It's
items
still a fighting game.
and then plays on the
somewhat.
Final Destination version of the stage, you were the most boring motherfucker I've ever met.
Oh, that's no fun. Yeah, that's no fun. Why would you do
sometimes
that?
I put like the most
Crippling
crazy
some of the best
fucking
aspects of the
settings
game.
and like used to be like special melee, special brawl. You know what I'm talking about? Big metal bunny hood, whatever. And then I just put like 4 CPUs and see who wins.
Those were fun.
No.
All right. Halo. What about you?
Well, I was racking my brain for a bit, and I realized that some of the most popular animes don't have anything. You know, I haven't.
There was a
any
Naruto
Bleach
character.
characters at all.
Briefly.
Blood flow.
Oh god, no!
No
Please,
One Piece.
I was trying
No
to
One Piece,
forget
although
that
Metal Card
existed.
is gonna make Nami.
I was gonna say Naruto, but then I remembered that,
I'm sure she'll have a nice ass.
and I was surprised. I know there's characters planned to be made, but I'm surprised it's taken as long as for a Konosuba character, considering how big that made a splash. But yeah, I can't think of anything else. Maybe like a Resident Evil character or something like that. You know, big name franchises.
Okay. What about you, SPNatI?
We still don't have a good Pokemon character.
Here, it's the 5th. I'm estimating that it'll come out around November. Give me half a year.
Alright, you cut out at the beginning there.
Okay, it's the 5th. It's the 5th month of the year. November is the 11th. That's when I guess it's going to come out. So, give me half a year, and I'll fix that.
With a player character with no personality.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what the issue has been so far with
No personality
Pokemon characters?
yet.
Listen.
That there's a million good Pokemon girls out there that actually talk and have a personality, and they keep making boring, shitty player characters. Make
I
Claire
feel like there is...
or Cynthia or
Okay,
like Whitney
Cynthia...
or Roxanne or somebody with a design.
But these characters, they only have, like, Roxanne in particular, she's only got, what, 20 lines in total?
Yeah.
The difference between 20
and she could put you
zero...
in detention and spank you. There you go, that's a personality.
I am going to be doing very angry Scottish lass. That's a personality. It will
You just
not
made that
be...
up.
I didn't make it up.
Well, I guess that's as legitimate as Hex.
The internet made it up. Have you seen all the fan art?
I'll be working on it.
Just make Claire. She's serious and she has blue hair and she wears a bodysuit.
Look, man, after writing Hanako, I realized that more serious characters are not my forte.
Claire is like if Maya and Fubuki did the fusion dance. She's got Maya's design elements, and then she has the inferiority complex of Fubuki, where she acts like she's hot shit. And then Lance just comes in like, oh, what is my cute little cousin up to this time?
Lance busts in with 3 Dragonites.
Oh,
Yeah, 3 of those fuckers.
3 under-leveled Dragonites.
Okay.
People always bitch about that, but I always just assumed that, like, Dragonite evolved at level 55 because that's how good your player character is at raising them. So you have, like, someone like Lance, right? He's a dragon trainer, so he knows how to raise them better, so he can get them to evolve sooner.
I like that idea.
That's how I interpret, like, under-leveled, like, evolutions that the CPUs have.
What about the wild... Okay, never mind. We're getting off topic. I'm surprised that we don't have a Penny Stocking character. That feels like it should have been around for a while.
I feel like,
Stocking
we've seen
definitely
people working on
up
them.
there.
It's just that it never materialized in the end.
Yuri and I are kind of working on it, which is like, I've asked her and she said, and she's like said, sure, and then like, she and I have done nothing with it, and like it literally went nowhere, and I have no idea if that project is actually happening. It is. If Yuri wants me on board, I'm totally. That's a character in surprise, and then like, Tharja Fire Emblem. It's like, we all joke about there being so many Fire Emblem. Tharja is the Fire Emblem waifu that everybody wants.
I don't even know what she looks like.
Yes.
Isn't she the one with like the transparent suit? And then, okay.
We need Tatsumaki,
like
the bot, in this server, so I can just Wikipedia that shit.
Yeah, so those are my answers.
What's another franchise that hasn't made an appearance yet? It's hard to think about who's absent. I like how Overwatch is just completely dead now. Everyone used to want like Widowmaker and shit, and now it's just like they're at the back of the roster. They haven't received updates in 40 million years. Overwatch is a dead game. Battleborn characters have received more development than Overwatch.
I think that's because of Blue Coin, though. To be fair,
well, there
he's
you go.
Very adamant. He's very adamant about his
fan. Fucking Vandred.
Yeah, it's true.
Has 2 characters.
Overwatch has good characters.
Okay.
And good designs, but
all it takes is one weird guy.
Alright. Next question is, Pivotal Cog recently posted a master list of the release dates for characters. Are you surprised that there's not generally newer content than the stuff on there?
I mean,
This
to
question
me,
is weird to me because
I think they mean not stuff that's been released recently. It's a lot of
Well,
old
okay,
I
world
mean,
this
stuff.
question's weird to me because
Is that
it
what that
looked
means?
like there was a pretty high concentration actually of newer stuff. Like fully half the roster or more came out in like the 21st century or like
yeah,
in the last
like even
15
in the, just
years.
like, I mean, I think like they said, like most of it, like more than 50% was like in the last, is from stuff in the last 2 to 3 years or 4 years. So
Were you expecting like everyone to be post 2015? Like, are you like a Fortnite player? Like, what do you expect? How new do you expect them to be?
I mean, even then, like, I mean, most of what we have is actually pretty much post 2015. I think was the I don't have the thing right in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that's what I remember it being, that most of the stuff was post 2015 ish. Uh,
Yes, I
Sucker
believe
the
no,
most
so.
the
Yes,
most
yes,
recent
she
thing
is. So like,
no, I
yeah, the
thought
content is
because
pretty
the
new.
Zombieland.
I
the
don't
most
understand this question.
yeah the
Did
most
you read
recent
it
is
wrong?
actually Sakura, because her thing just ended back in like January.
Yeah, I don't
So
understand this question.
yeah,
It is mostly new characters.
Yeah, but I remember looking at it and was super confused by it.
All right, I guess
But
it's
yeah, there's some characters from like the 90s and stuff, and like the further you go back there, like there's barely anything from like before the 80s.
I think
And
if the question is
those are usually like real. Those aren't usually obscure characters. Those are characters that are basically classics at this point and have been in a lot of more recent iterations. Like yeah, Chun Li came out in 1991, but she's had a lot of appearances since then that are more recent.
I mean, a lot of people grew up with some of these characters, so it only makes sense that they would want to bring characters they grew up with into the game. But there's also lots of newer stuff that people fall in love with every day, So it's hard
Well,
to
the
really
answer is they are new.
pinpoint a answer to
Most of
that
them are new.
question.
I don't know how you define new.
all right.
Yeah.
Next question is: what is your personal approach to the different aspects of character creation, modeling, posing, dialogue, etc.?
Johan. It's etc. Not etc.
All right. Okay.
It's Latin. It means and others.
Here I am, a flawed man. I've never claimed to be perfect.
Can you be competent?
No. How dare you ask that of me?
Oof.
Whatever. Solitaire, why don't you start us off?
so I guess what this question is asking is just sort of like what, because for me, what I do for character creation is like I said earlier, I come up with some ideas, like, okay, like here's a funny line, or here's like an interesting reaction with this character or that character. And then after I think of more stuff and think of how, okay, they could actually fit into the game, then I start writing start writing dialogue down, start organizing all of that. And then once I have like enough of that, then what I do is the modeling. I make the model. Um, and this time, at least for Saki, I made sure to get feedback on the model before I posed it, because I didn't want to do like what I had with Miko, where I had to redo all of the posing, and it took me like 2 months just to redo it all. Then I just pose, and mostly I just have to pose because otherwise, like, I'll try and put it off because it's the part I don't like. I like the least. Um, but I still, continue to write dialogue in a text file, and then yeah, just do posing, and then once I have all that stuff done, then I make the uh, start putting together the file in the character editor, put everything together, and yeah, once I'm ready, I just ship it off. and you guys better like it.
All right.
Well, I liked it so far.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that SPNatI, like, of the characters that we've mentioned, I think he consistently praises Miko more than any of the other characters that aren't made by him.
I'd love to see that level of quality writing on a character with tits.
Yeah, unfortunately, you won't see that on Saki.
No tits, but plenty of hair, right?
Yep.
How can a zombie have hair?
She had the hair before she died.
Shouldn't it just slide off with the rest of her scalp and her skin?
Look, if we're going to talk about technicalities, some of these people have been dead for centuries. They
Skeleton
should be
Land
nothing but
Saga?
bones by now.
I mean,
They're just skeleton band?
Saki
Skeletons of
crashed
anime
her-
girls?
Saki crashed her motorcycle in like a huge fireball. So it's sort of like, how is she not like cremated off of that?
She was doing a sick power slide underneath like a truck.
Mm-hmm.
No, she drove off a cliff.
On purpose?
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah, it was a game of chicken.
spoilers, but I
Technically,
think it was
she
like
won.
a game of chicken. I mean, yeah, and the other person pulled away. I mean,
Technically, she won.
but like, is it a victory if you die in the process?
She didn't
Technically,
lose.
but is it a victory?
Yeah, but tell her that.
She
I
sure
guess
as hell
you could
didn't
say
win.
it was a ride to hell.
Retribution.
Ride to tranquility.
All right. Banana, what say you?
Different. Shouldn't you ask Halo first?
Fucking thought I did. Okay, Halo.
I mean, I haven't made a character for the game yet, technically. But I guess when it comes to modeling and posing, I guess the first thing I do is look for the best references I can get. A lot of front-facing poses are the best way to do it. Typically, whatever I can find from the actual anime or whatever. Sometimes I'll use fan art if the character is a 3D character, because it's easier to replicate a style like that. And then as for posing, it's best to look at how the character moves and reacts in their source, and then try to pose them accordingly. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much my process on how I do it. I don't have some big insightful stuff to say.
All right. Banana?
Modeling, I either am working off of a much better starting point that someone made, or I just fuck it up because I didn't know what I was doing. I don't have a whole lot of experience in making models. We'll see if that improves. I think my Fubuki model that I made is starting to turn out pretty well. But other than her hair, she's not that complicated. You can see for herself, it's very shiny. So, yeah. Modeling, yeah, you find some good reference pictures, front facing.
Very.
You try to, I'd say focus on the hair is the most important thing, and also the hardest part, because the hair is what makes an anime girl recognizable.
Oh yeah,
That in the face.
and yeah, one thing I do recommend
Massive.
is shrinking heads a bunch, because Kisuke heads are
Well, if you're going
ginormous.
for more realistic proportions,
They are huge,
you gotta
and
shrink
so
that head
sometimes, yeah, that's true. I mean, Palatina's head was like the width and height were in the negative hundreds in order to get, but I fucked
That
up
was
her
a little
neck,
chicken neck.
so it's just. It's just a matter of balancing it. I mean, the characters were hyper stylized after a show with people with huge heads
Mhm.
and small bodies. You have to really play around with stuff.
Yeah.
The only way to get better is
Posing,
to practice
I
and
always
just try new things.
try to. Okay, well, first of all, you gotta have a butt pose. You gotta. But you start off with a list of emotions with doing posing first. Now, you try to like write a list of, okay, what are the basic emotions that they should have. You think about the characters, like, some characters like a really overt horny pose. Maybe that doesn't make sense for them. They wouldn't do that. But you start to you just kind of have to get a feel for them and how they appear, and like how willing they are to like contort their bodies or be really expressive. You always try to have a couple, and you just kind of like work back and forth like as you write dialogue, the kind of feeling that I want to go for. So you go back and you redo the pose again and again and again, and I've redone the poses so many times. But I don't mind that because each time I feel like it's improving. And then you just try to make it a little more natural. You always try to like make things a little asymmetrical, where they're just kind of rotated a little bit so their weight's on one side. It can be very subtle and it can dramatically change how natural they look. So like you always want a few poses for their like when they're kind of talking about themselves, and then a few poses where they're sort of addressing someone else, and they have more of like an open mouth for them to speak. I feel like a lot of people who make poses, they start off with just trying to capture the emotion, and they're not thinking in the mindset of they're going to have a line attached to this. So then they have this really expressive pose, but then their mouth is closed, and it looks really uncanny because it seems like they should be speaking, so their mouth should be open. And you definitely need to have that more when you're addressing other characters. But yeah, so just stuff like you gotta have angry, you gotta have like there's lots of different flavors of anger. Like there's like indignant, or there's like really cursing somebody out, or there's like danger, like maybe shooting an assault rifle. So you got to try to like make your poses as versatile as possible, I think. There's bored is always really good, or like distracted by something if they brought something with them. One of the best decisions I made, I think, actually was like showing May as a workaholic, because she brings her little tablet with her to work on in between rounds, because she would totally do that, and like it wouldn't interest her enough. Or like stretching, or like thinking, or something like that. Just the more like inward poses. And then you have stuff like interested or impressed. But do they mean like impressed in like a conversational way, or like impressed in like a horny way? Like you gotta think about that. And then like some kind of neutral poses. Or if they have like resting bitch face or something, you wanna capture that. Are they surprised? Are they fearful? Like how do you want to take shocked? Just stuff like that. You just kind of gotta feel it out. Posing is something that I think can be a lot of fun. Just because whenever I go back to look at a pose, I just feel like it gets better, and it's much easier to make those improvements on just one pose than like the entire model. And you work back and forth with dialogue doing this, and you want to start with generic dialogue. You kind of got to carve through it a little bit, but I really recommend going and not sharing any dialogue between stages, or any generic dialogue between stages, because you want them to evolve a little bit over the course of the game, and they'll be repeating themselves a lot if you put it on all their stages. And then you get the targeted dialogue eventually, and that's the fun part. So that's me.
Okay. I am the exact opposite of SPNatI, where
As usual.
yes, I always make my poses before I start writing lines.
That's what I said.
Well, yeah, but you're like, okay, we're the opposite in that, like, you think of how you try to think of how a line will, you think lines will be applied to this. I try and think of it like applying lines to what I've already got. Like, you think forward, I think backward, kind of. And quite a few times, at least recently, all of my projects, the posing has been outsourced, or I didn't do the dialogue part after I helped pose. A lot of the stuff I use collaboration, so that's quite different. In terms of characters that I do myself, I don't know. I just think about what kind of emotions I need, and then pray that I don't need to go back and make. And then sometimes I do. I always start with the posing first. Well, after I make the model, of course. How I approach the modeling is I will go unless it's like unless it's I generally post my progress when I'm modeling something, so I can get feedback on how to make it look better. Because despite everybody saying that I'm good at this software, I'm not good at making things without receiving quite a bit of feedback. So I model it. It normally takes me like a day to get a model I'm content with. Sometimes more, sometimes less. And then after that, I move on to posing, which I'm normally able to knock out pretty quickly. Because I, at least for like a character like Chiaki that comes from a visual novel, like there are sprites I can base her poses on. Somebody's got an alarm going off. And yeah, I basically I more or less do posing really quickly. I just go from there on dialogue, and if I do need to add a pose, I go back and do that. But yeah, probably a very standard way for people. Probably not nothing unique in how I do it. Besides that, I just try and be fast. Next question is: do you think SPNatI will ever reach a point where there are no characters? When? Solitaire?
Yeah, I think that we will finally reach that point once Samus is off the roster. Then I think we'll be in that position.
That will be the dawn of a new era.
Samus is a monument to laziness and mediocrity. She's in a bodysuit and she doesn't even have a butt pose. Well, except in her epilogue, and it looks like fucking crap. Well, it doesn't look like absolute shit, but it looks like that really gross, like, hyper proportions style where, like, their waist is super thin, like, too thin, and then she just has a bubble butt.
The thing with Samus is, like, she's as, like, slutty and out of character as Moon is, except Moon is actually funny. Samus is just sort of boringly bad.
She's not as slutty as Mo. She's not pathologically obsessed with it. But it's only because she really doesn't have a character.
Alright. What about you, Halo?
I think it'll happen within the next couple months, personally. I just think characters like Meg and stuff need to
You know
go,
what?
they're just
Also, she talks about poop.
boring.
That shit has got to stop.
I still
literally.
think.
Hey.
I mean, Meg as a character in her game, she doesn't even have a single spoken line. It's just grunts and groans.
I was with you in the grunts and
getting
groans
slashed up by killers.
From being slashed up.
So, yeah, no, it's not pleasant grunts and groans. I think that's what's weighing down. I'm personally of the mindset that if the character does a good job at portraying the character, it's not terrible. But it's the ones that don't stand out and kind of just.
I think we're at the point where the characters we consider
those ones bring
bad
everything
now
down.
are just kind of like bland and boring. Not like actually bad. Other than the ones that still stand to masturbate, because, like,
yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, although.
Come on. I had to fish out, like, the characters, like, coming poses for that alignment chart that you can see on the subreddit. And, like, for some of them, you can't visually scan it and find it really quickly because their stage for that is the same. It looks the same as all the others because they're standing. And it's like, fuck you. Like, you didn't move the legs. How is this a reward when they don't look any goddamn different than before? They just have their hand on their groin. Well, anyway.
Pretty much it's just the characters that were done lazily and quickly need to go.
Well, you know what? You know what Samus is. Samus is just she's the embodiment of just resting on your laurels. She is exactly the bare minimum of the project of what like needs to stay in the game and what you can consider Samus. Like the art's not like the model's okay, but like it looks a little default face now, but like the outfit's good. Like she knows that she's Samus, and people will play her because she's Samus, and she doesn't need to try. She doesn't need to be anything special or deliver anything interesting or unique because she's Samus and people will pick her anyway. That's what she is. But yeah, I think that's the point there. I don't think we have any objectively like awful characters except for Gay Spaghetti Chef, but he was just brought back as a joke. Anyone else is just kind of boring now, and has just been in the game for a very long time and hasn't gotten an update in like 40 million years. And you just forget that they exist. They're just hanging out in the back, and they've been in the back forever. Like Sonya.
I think that my personal take is that good and bad will shift as time moves forward. Characters
Pretty much.
Like you can make a character today that is game changing, the best there is, revolutionize the game, but then you never update them and you don't do any upkeep. But all the people you've inspired with whatever tech you bring from this character, they continue to move forward, they continue to update characters, they continue to work and get better. And then, suddenly in the future, that character that was super game-changing, amazing, great, comparatively isn't that good anymore. And so I think that there will never be a time where there is not at least a comparatively bad character.
Yeah, that's a good point. Plus, if you target a bunch of characters now and never update them, then eventually you'll start targeting a bunch of dead characters.
Like Xander.
Look at Amy. Amy from Bravely Second. She was game changing when she came out. Like the whole must target gimmick thing, and she targeted a bunch of characters, and her line count was really high at the time, and now she has not received a single update in like over a year and a half, and she has slipped towards like the middle of the roster, just despite being pretty good still. Just because of that.
She's getting updated soon, I believe.
Yeah, Underscore's got a lot of
Underscore doesn't do
has
soon.
a lot of plans. Soon trademarked. There you go.
Yeah. It's Yuri's definition of soon.
I think eventually she'll get updated. It'll be a great update. It just matters.
I remember when I first did the targeting suite of I tried to target all the characters and for Maya. And you had to target Ryu's and Mettaton's penis size because it was enormous. And now they've been dead. And they're dead, and you really don't have to do that anymore. They're just not relevant. They're not part of the game. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of models that we thought looked good last year are getting blown the fuck out by models now,
Yep.
You gotta keep
pace.
I
reworked Chiaki's model 2 months ago, and now I'm doing it again.
It wasn't 1-to-1.
I thought you would have waited longer before doing another update.
Yeah, I thought so too, but then I wasn't happy with how the sort panel laid out, and I thought I could do better. Here I am.
How many model updates is she going to get?
This is Chiaki V4, and every single update, she just gets a little bit shorter, a little bit thicker. In 2020, or in 2092, Chiaki will be on version 74, and she'll just be a pancake.
She'll have as many versions as Kisuke does.
I'm wondering how far up the ceiling we can go. I mean, it's just a matter of how often the program's updated. There's little things that are more possible each update, little things that we couldn't do easily before.
Chiaki's model that's in-game right now, version 85. We're on version 90, and I'm already reworking them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's things in version 85 that you clearly didn't have in version 60.
Yeah, that is true.
So I'm just saying is the more these groundbreaking updates for the program come out, I imagine these models will just get more and more accurate as people are handed tools that help them accomplish these tasks
That
easier.
assumes that Pochi's going to actually add useful things instead of another mouth that doesn't look like anything.
We'll make them ourselves.
Eyelashes were
Listen,
a great update.
with our own
Eyelashes
hands.
were the best.
Why would you make mouths that resemble human emotions when you can make a breakout clone?
I think that wasn't that like an April
Yeah.
Fool's thing? Didn't it come out at the same time? Yeah.
All right.
I can understand. We do April Fool's characters. Why can't Pochi make an April Fool's program? Probably not many lines of code to program breakout.
All right.
95% of these game outs are unusable. And people just tell me, oh, build them out of face marks. I should not have to build a base motion face marks.
He does need to add more
Give me a
mouths.
decent semicircle accessory.
unironically.
Look, clothes, okay? I understand
God,
there's a lot of
a
clothes
circle.
in this world, especially in fiction. I understand having to build clothes. Fucking faces? Why is there no, good frowning grin? Or not frowning grin, but frowning,
grin.
No, toothy frown, I mean. Like baring your teeth.
Well, they have that one that's got like the weird triangle thing to it. If you adjust that enough, it can look okay.
I shouldn't have to adjust it. It should just look like an expression.
I feel like I've had an idea for a while of just like some kind of Microsoft PowerPoint-esque shape option where it just gives you a bunch of things like an octagon, a semicircle, or like
Speech bubbles.
a free hand thing where you can like draw a shape.
Arms?
Huh?
Oh, free hand. Okay.
Yeah, like a little freehand shape that you can draw. Like
That's called Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
well, I never used Photoshop. I was a Microsoft PowerPoint kid. So just like options for basic shapes that aren't there. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be great. I would also like more accessibility when it comes to legs.
Oh, absolutely! Like
You
being
know,
able to attach image
Some
inputs.
attachments to legs,
Rinka's
like they do with
Rinka's
arms.
model now
Yeah.
has an image import on her legs, and it's suffering. It's just a consistent state of suffering working on it.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Aqua has imports on her legs. And it's a pain.
Yeah, both Miko and now Saki's got leg imports too, so I know how it is.
I mean, the arm imports were revolutionary. Why can't you just do the same for
Yeah.
legs? Just saying. I think he'll get to it eventually. He's got a long list of things he has planned.
I feel like he did image imports because he just was tired of people asking for shit. It's like here's the Photoshop button, you do it.
Very true. I think also he made the image import thing because he wanted to make custom props, and that's what he does on his that Japanese Patreon equivalent that he does.
Come on, Pochi.
And those are used in the image
I
imports.
just want some mouths. Either that or I want the ability to move shoulders. I don't care if it would horribly fuck up custom clothes. I just want her to, have a human range of movement where you can reach across your own body.
Yeah, that would be good.
If it fucks up the clothes, then I'll unfuck the clothes. Just give me shoulder movement.
Also, for me, I'd like more layering options for image attachments, because now you can either put it over everything or under everything, but you can't put an arm over the image attachment, so I just have to do all that in Photoshop afterwards.
Oh, I would also like better layering of accessories. Accessories, no matter for body, always under clothes. I would like to be able to layer over clothes. I don't want to make the entire outfit out of accessories. I can. It's just a pain.
All right, well, I think we've gotten off topic. We were answering whether there was going to be bad characters.
We have to air our grievances over Kisakai.
Yeah.
Look, it isn't the weekly podcast unless something is said about Pochi's checklist.
Oh fuck, Johan died.
We lost Joe.
I guess he was mad that I said the podcast was off topic, so I have to host it now.
All right.
But yeah, I think that's good. I think he made a good point in that there will always be characters that are considered worse than other characters. So maybe Our definitions of bad will change. Hermione, people used to think she was the best character in the game. She used to be like front and center in all the relevant development discussions, and now, I mean, look at her. She's as relevant as Harry Potter is now.
I mean,
at least Dilettante hasn't been pulling any Rowlings, trying to keep her relevant.
I mean, I guess the whole update thing kind of is what kills a lot of these characters. But I'm wondering how high is the ceiling?
Everyone being 1-to-1.
Is there like? Yeah, I guess. I mean, I just think there's eventually going to be a point where characters can only be so good. We haven't reached there yet, obviously, because characters are getting better and better every time. But there will be a point where we will reach the peak.
I just hope that. Did his laptop blue screen? He's typing.
Wi-Fi died.
His Wi-Fi
Okay, that's
died.
better.
I'll go on without him.
That means we don't have to re-record. His Wi-Fi's dead.
If we had to re-record, I would be so bad.
That happened to us once. We had to re-record an episode once.
Oh god, that must have been the worst. How far into it were you?
No, the entire thing. We finished it and then
Oh no.
But I think it was like 2 hours.
That's not so bad.
That was one of the early ones.
I mean, this has already been going on for 3,
That was one of the early ones. So, let's see. Well, I'm the host now. Johan has died in office, so I the vice host has become the host.
Should we do a swearing-in ceremony?
Speaking, no. What book would I place my hand on?
Does Vandred have a manga?
That's a good question. Put it on your box set of Vandred.
There is a Vandred manga.
There you go.
But it's shorter than the show and there's less to it. But anyway. Okay, so speaking of the podcast, what is your favorite part of the podcast? Oh, Johan's back. What is your favorite part of the podcast? Please do not answer with more than one aspect. Only mention one thing.
I'm back.
So they specifically only want one thing
Can you hear
mentioned.
me?
You didn't miss anything, Johan.
Okay, cool.
We're just on the next question.
Anything I need to edit out? I guess I'll no one answer back.
Maybe. Possibly.
Okay.
Might be funnier to leave
No,
it in.
tangents are good. All the people who complain about the length, just like, I don't know, take a break, watch the rest later. What's the big deal?
Podcasts are meant to be taken in little chunks,
You don't have to listen to all 4 hours at once.
The problem
Oh,
is,
that's
though,
before
that
ours. So, Solitaire, why don't you kick us off?
yeah, so I guess my favorite part of the podcast is just sort of listening to everyone's voices, since it's just interesting to listen to hear what people actually sound like, see how often it's like how I envisioned it to be.
Am I how you envision?
Did you envision a bunch of nasally nerds?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I have a voice of Crickle.
I don't know who Grickle is.
Oh, wow.
What's up, everybody? It's Critical. I'm playing Strapoken Knight, the inventory for the PC. I've chosen the full moon
Doesn't ring any
table.
bells.
Let's do this shit.
He's a very stoic YouTube gamer.
But yeah, I guess just sort of listening to people as like listening to the devs as like real people instead of words on a screen. Because I feel like people, like, the way they type, like their voice as they're typing is different than their voice as they're speaking. Just in terms of like diction and those sorts of things. So, yeah.
I'd be lying if I said like I like getting new people on just so I can hear what they sound like. I'm always excited for that moment.
This time we've got 2.
It gives people a lot more humanity to hear their voice. Let's know you're not talking to a bot or something.
Yeah. Right, Halo? What about you?
I like the question and answering part. Sparks debates. Debates are fun. I get to hear everyone's perspective and opinion on the matter.
Alright. SPNatI, I know you replied to Solitaires, but do you have Anything else?
The tangents. Just going off on random tangents, talking about Sonic the Hedgehog for an hour and a half.
Did you guys really talk about Sonic the Hedgehog for an hour and a half?
Yes.
Yes. Well, it was for 30 minutes, and then it was for another 45 minutes later.
How do you talk about Sonic the Hedgehog for that
We
long?
Do you know how many games Sonic the Hedgehog has?
Do you understand? I had to fight to get it to just that long.
Static.
Give all of my characters a unique voice. I think we touched on it earlier, but I think that a lot of creators sometimes give their characters sort of samey voices. So I try to make my characters stand out by use of their, word choice and diction. Because again, I'm not the kind of guy who's like going to be a super god of Kisekai. I'm not going to be able to make like a 3/4 pose with giant mech behind them. But I can use like my writing in order to
A mech doing a 3/4 pose.
Yeah, exactly. So
Made from the bodies of its fellow mechs.
That is what I have planned for comedy is that whole arc.
So yeah, I just try and give them use their voice to make them stand out. So I'm trying to make sure that Saki, I mean, it's not that difficult just because they're different characters, different enough characters, sort of, between Saki and Miko, just trying to give them their own unique voice, even though they're both like smug as shit. Because, write what you know.
All right. Halo, what about you?
Well, not much I can say because I don't actually have characters in. But I guess what I do wish characters would do more is maybe I would like to see more face marks in characters, more details to the face.
Oh yeah,
I'm not good with that.
Doors
Yeah.
I don't know how to use those.
Yeah, no,
That was the one that got me started on doing that kind of stuff, but I've been
getting better and better at it. It just helps make the faces pop, makes them feel more alive if you add some like side blush, kind of add some hair, shadow, stuff like that. Every little detail like that adds up and makes the character feel more complete.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to see more of that. I just think more details, I mean, it might be a pain to get to be accurate, but it pays off.
All right. SPNatI, what about you?
I'm not sure. Something you do to improve your characters. I constantly go back and redo all their poses over and over. I feel like that's something that's very easy to iterate on, and can produce some pretty good results. Because I'm never happy with a pose the first time. Targeting a wide suite of characters, just trying to cast a wide net, try to get everyone engaged with your character, can definitely lead to a whole big sort of like network of conversations that you have going on, so they'll kind of fit really nicely into any table. But I feel like a lot of creators do that. I don't know, it's just tough. If I think of anything else, Johan, you can go. I'll come back to us.
So there's a thing that I feel like I do more than anybody else, and it's update my character's models. Rinka is now on the third, technically fourth model, because there was one, before she even hit testing, I posed and modeled her all, but this was back in the days before the character editor. We had to send in the poses to the mods to get them to do it. And I used an online version of Kisake to the offline, so my version was ahead and they couldn't generate the poses. So I went back and made a new model and a different version. And I did. So Rinka is technically on.
Listen, that's a lot of work. You don't even update the models in the epilogues.
Hey, that's what I'm doing now. So Rinka's on her third, technically fourth model. I'm working on right now. And Chiaki's also, I'm working on her fourth model. I think that there is some worth in going back and updating models as time moves on. It's not easy. It's not terribly fun. but I think that it is a thing that is worth doing. Because, like I said, you can be groundbreaking one day, and then in the future, everybody else is groundbreaking, and you've just been standing still.
Yeah, I think that's something I definitely need to get on, is some model updates.
And with that, we've answered all our questions, except, like I brought up earlier, I probably could have done this episode. I could have done this gag in an episode with Mystic or Odin or Tim. But how many times do you get solitaire on? It's such a rare treat. So I figure I'd like to play a little game real quick.
Oh no.
It is called Toho or No Ho.
I think I can be good at this game.
On my phone,
No.
of actual Toho games.
Alright, cut out.
Some of these are the titles of actual Toho games. Some of them are completely made up. And I'm just going to list these off, and you guys are going to have to try and guess which is which. Are you ready?
I feel like it would be cheating if I participate.
Oh, solitaire.
Because I know everything.
You will make sure you reply last, okay? Because you'll be able to tell the answer. Gunfire Spear Symphony.
Toho.
I'm going to say no.
Nah, that's a fake one.
That is a fake one.
Fuck.
Antimony.
That's 1 point for me.
Antimony of Common Flowers.
Antimony of Common
One more time?
Toho.
I'll go with that
That
one.
is real.
Yeah, it's got good sprite work for Miko. I took a
Highly
lot of her
responsive
poses
to prayers.
in that game.
Highly responsive to prayers. Toho.
That sounds incredibly stupid. I'm going to go with yes.
It is also Toho. Quantum Dancing and Black Moonlight Rhapsody.
I'm going to go no with that one.
Me too.
That is a no-ho. Impossible Spell Card.
No.
That is real.
This isn't fucking Yu-Gi-Oh!
Endless Summer Love.
No.
No.
That is also no-ho. Starlight Ocean.
That's
Yes.
a fucking JoJo. Stone Ocean.
Stone Ocean? I thought you said Starlight Ocean.
Starlight Ocean.
Yeah, but it sounded the same. It's like Stardust Crusaders and Stone Ocean. You put them together.
Starlight Ocean sounds like one.
SPNatI, is that a no?
Starlight Ocean. Sure.
No, that's made up.
Damn.
Well,
Intangible Lust.
yes.
Tangible. I'm going to go no.
Double spoiler.
Yes.
Double spoiler. Yes.
Yes, that is real. Unperceiving of natural law, chase the enigma of the gargantuan Guignol.
That's so long, it's gotta be one.
Yeah.
That is real. I tried my best to make them all equally stupid. 7-colored
The
lily.
ones, what? The no-hos make too much sense.
7-colored lily.
7-colored
I
lily?
don't know.
What did you say?
7-colored lily.
Lily. Okay, that's a little better than Willy. I don't know.
No. Legacy of Lunatic Kingdom.
How many are there?
Yes.
6 more after this.
Okay, what was it?
Legacy of Lunatic Kingdom.
No.
That is real.
Ah.
Shoot the bullet.
Shoot the bullet.
No.
No.
That is real. Yeah.
Really?
Scarlet Alibi.
It's the simplest title. I had a feeling that it wouldn't be, but
Scarlet Alibi.
yes.
Yes.
That is fake. Urban
Damn it.
Legend and Limbo.
Urban Legend
Are
and
you
Limbo.
serious with these?
No.
Yes. Butterfly Graveyard.
Yes?
No.
No. Steel Ball Run.
No. That's JoJo.
Oh?
That one is JoJo. All right,
Close
last
enough,
one.
really.
Last one. Undefined fantastical object.
Yes.
Yes.
That is a yes. All right. I'll calculate the scores when I'm editing this episode. But I'm glad that I was able to pull that off.
I'm pretty sure that was pretty even.
Solitaire, did you? I think you might have beat me. Solitaire, did you know all of those?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I know all the Toho games.
What's with the naming? What's with them?
What the thing about Toho naming, like each Toho has like a Japanese name and then an English name. So like the one with Remilia in Japan it's called Toho Komakan, but in English it's called The Embodiment of the Scarlet Devil. And that's because like I said, all of the Toho games are made by one dude who's probably drunk at the time when he names them. So that's where the names come from.
Oh, that makes sense.
I'm glad that we had enough time to make that gag happen. And I'm absolutely leaving that in the episode that'll go up on Sunday. The uncut version will go up on Tuesday.
You didn't put the uncut version of the last one.
Yeah, because that's 4 hours long.
This one's almost 3.5.
Yeah, but I have to edit this once already.
Okay, got a point.
I probably will put up the uncut version of the last episode later.
We talked
Yeah.
about Ask Jeeves. How can you leave that out?
I don't know. So, thank you guys for being on. It was really fun having you two.
Oh, who won the Toho or Noho?
Huh?
Who won that?
I don't know. I wasn't keeping track.
Oh.
What was the point then?
Because when I don't edit this episode, I will have the answer.
Oh, okay. I
But
was going to say, if nobody wins, then what's the point of a game?
You guys will have to tune in.
Someone has to be the loser. I always listen to them.
I
Just
mean,
because I want to hear myself talk.
Technically, I got all of them right, so I should be declared the winner.
Hey.
What?
No.
All right. So
You got all of them right, but you had to out yourself as a Toho fan.
I mean,
there is no greater curse. All right. So guys, thanks for
What's
coming.
it like wanting to fuck little girls?
God, that's getting edited out. All right. Thank you guys for being on. SPNatI, thank you for co-hosting.
For 28 episodes now.
Yep. And
That's a lot of episodes.
thank you.
That's
for
longer
listening.
than a season of anime.
Oh fuck, dude! It sure is. We're in the second season now.
We have this SPNatI podcast anime now. We're like a full-on manga adaptation where it goes for hundreds.
When are you gonna commission an intro?
I mean,
Needs an anime
if
intro.
somebody offered, I'd totally fucking put that at the start of every episode.
Wait, I know SPNatI's a weeb game, but we don't want to immediately.
I'd put it at the end of every episode.
Get an ending song.
And speaking of ending, we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Yep.